different. This is magnificent, man. And I like this. I enjoyed myself to the fullest, and I can't wait to come back on. I can't wait to see it, see more of the people on here.
And it's also wonderful to hear people talk sanely to each other.
I mean, yes, pain is inevitable. I mean, there's a reason we have these sensors in our body. I mean, they're warning signs. In other words, something hurts. Obviously, something is amiss.
That's the standard, especially on film. When the film, the cameras weigh in on your soul. If you commit to not putting crap out there, you can actually make a difference, certainly for yourself, and maybe something about the soul.
And we're just beginning to unlock and comprehend the true nature of the universe, in my humble opinion. And we still have no definitive proof that life exists outside of our solar system.
And I would ask him to come with me back to early 2023 to save my son's life.
My father passed away. She's an only child. Her mother had passed away. She didn't have any family. And she asked me to walk her down the aisle. That's the part that changed. That cruel moment of when you realize there is no hope. That tears at me, but it doesn't tear at me anymore because there was hope. I hung on just long enough to come out the other side. And here I am. Look at me, all beautiful and stuff.
But now you're going to bring your garbage and war out into space. Well, we're not going to let that happen.
The high tide's going to come. You're not going to be able to overcome at least what technology has created.
And they were rebuilding that country at a cost.
Their truth is the truth that we imbue in them, to be kind, to be civil.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm not all the names that the kids were calling me on the playground. I was dyslexic. It was a recognition.
Sure. Continue to work as hard as you can, because by working, Avi, you will keep yourself busy and get used to the grief. The grief will build up. Two people, two different stories.
It was a life-changing moment because I was no longer allowing myself to be a victim.
Another trio of questions, now more underrated. We have Billy D. Williams, Italian men named Skippy or Unicycle.
I'm sorry, Italian men named Skippy. Put me away, Avi. That's
Archie Bunker, the mountain climber. Ralph Cramden, the yoga instructor, or Don Corleone, the computer repair person.
It's clearly an issue with the hard drive. I'm going to go Don Corleone.
The bed actually looks like a bed. E.D. If you think about it, lasagna is just spaghetti-flavored cake. I don't know. Have we ever thought about this? That the object of golf is to play the least amount of golf. Think about it. That's golf in a nutshell.
Yep. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah. That's true.
That's the object.
Where I went around, I visited all the adults first in the cancer, the Stony Brook University Cancer Center, and then I visited the children. And I would say the adults were at least as enthused and joyful to see Santa. And
so Mr. Ventura, I said, I don't know if you remember me. He says, of course, Jacques Rougeau, I remember you, the Rougeau brothers, And when he said that to me, it was like, oh.
I got a chance to get to know Joe Weider. Joe was like a second father to me. He took me under his wing. He introduced me to art. He introduced me to history.
I had a blast. I want to dance with somebody.
There we go.
I'll do it.
I do too right now, guys and gals. And
when you say videotape, I'm gonna say it once again to all Jake's people, all them Braves fans. Hey, y'all, appreciate y'all. You know I love you and keep rooting for them Braves.
But I was going, Tom, Don, I'm a true fan. Yo, I never watched all of your movies through, Tom, because they scared the crap out of me. Love y'all, man.
Pleasure. Great to meet you. It's great to meet you too, Trey.
Yeah, Avi, you did a great job.
John Amos.
Man, what an introduction. I hope I can live up to that. God bless you.
Last name McMahon, first name Jim. Welcome, my friend, to the second round reveal show.
Avi, always great to hear your voice, kid, and to hear your intros. You're amazing.
I welcome a power player and businessman. Last name Rosenthal, first name Steve.
Avi, you are unbelievable.
No, please.
That was one of the best introductions I've ever had in my entire life. It was better than my bar mitzvah.
Welcome this man, last name Davidson, first name Tommy.
Nice. I think that's the best intro I've ever had.
Oh, I appreciate that, my friend.
Grab your mommy. Here's Tommy.
Did you have a nice time tonight in the green room?
I had a great time. I can't tell you how refreshing it is that somebody knows what they're doing.
Avi is a poet, but he doesn't know it, but his feet show it. You're unbelievable.
$15,000, trip for 2 to Greece, winning it all, competitive juices. Are they all there, Joe?
Man, the competitive juices don't stop.
Robert, would you like to win this entire tournament?
You know, all those luminaries and athletes and strongmen notwithstanding, the most dangerous place on this show is between me and that prize. That's all I'm going to say.
You get a chance.
I am here to destroy people, to win, put out the rhymes that make things say that be so fine, and then hit you in the butt, because I'm ready to win this all. It's all about me going to Greece with my wife and my family and having a great time. Let's win this. Let's win this.
Oh, you're here to win the whole darn tournament?
I don't play. I just win.
Damas y caballeros, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. It is the green room. Woo, man!
I am so excited for tonight. We have two favorites, two amazing competitors, and our very own Ramon. That match is happening beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern, but we have so much show before that and so much show after that. Have you been paying attention to our lives and our posts all week? Because I have, and let me tell you, we cannot wait. This one is going to be intense. Jamie, how are you feeling about tonight?
You know, looking at all the moments in the video that got us here, it makes me understand once again why we're so excited for this. Every one of those moments is built up to where we are tonight. And tonight is going to be something special because we know we're going to have our first elimination. Right, Howard?
We are. We definitely are going to have our first elimination. And man, does that set the stakes so high. I mean, think about it. That's it. Round one, it was about, if there was a tie, sure, you could get into a round two, but there's no more ties. It is done.
How do we break those ties?
Aha! That's a great question, Giselle.
I know.
Oh, Jamie Sparling here. I know that guy. Host in the dojo on the new network. Tonight, we are going to watch Stephen Tobolowsky, our own Engine member Ramon, and Eddie Johnson compete in a tournament. You're going to have a chance to let us know who resonates the most with you. That's right, you get a say. And what's on the line? We have a trip to Greece, $15,000, the Tom Sizemore Memorial Cup, and the prize and the pride, baby. We all want to go. Who's going to go tonight? That's right, I said who's going to go tonight. Tonight will be the first night in our nomination. All of the competitors are very strong. Ramon is a bit of an underdog. But I cannot wait to see how this goes down. Every time I watch this tournament, I learn something. The edutainment is paramount to nothing else that I can think of. Can't wait to see you tonight. Watch as it goes down. Everybody wants to go to Greece. You're gonna say, see you there. Ah, that's it. I know that guy, he was a little choked up. Like I said, there's a lot of big things going on here. I mean, I want to take my wife Tina to Greece. That's what it's all about, and we can't do any of that without our fans and all of our viewers that watch us each and every Saturday for over 4 years now, right, Howard?
Over 4 years, and I want to say a personal hello to Lena. Awesome to have you here. Hello, April Cinder. We can't hear him. That's all right. He could reiterate everything he just told you. Julio the Grown. Hey, Chad. Look, I love that. They're like saying hello to each other in the comment section. Want to take this one?
Allison, thank you so much. I like my blazer too. It's a little louder than my video, but I appreciate you.
Hey, Naomi. Hello, Kelly.
It's all right. Hey, Naomi. So we are so glad to see the Lenas and the Naomis and the Julios and Jasmine. Hi, Jasmine Mills. Welcome to the Green Room and the Celebrity Tournament. Larry is here as well. Party time, says Larry. And it is a party. It is a party right now. It is a party at 9 p.m. Eastern when the match begins. But we have so much to do before then. You're going to see maybe some of our predictions, maybe our thoughts on what's going to happen tonight. Alexander is here as well. Tonight's going to be amazing for certain. Absolutely, Alexander, I agree with you. How are you doing this evening? Hello. Kelly J. White, thank you for joining us. The J is not silent. I know you two know that.
Myron, what's up, buddy? Good to have you. Radio Quahog. What is up? Is that how you pronounce that? Quahog? Quahog?
What? I thought you knew. You said it with authority.
If I'm never sure, I'm always going to say with authority.
All right, guys. Tonight is the night. Single elimination. Only 2 out of 3 are going to round 3. My bet is on Eddie Johnson. I think he's advancing. He's always coming with the facts, statistics, like he's always ready, and he's very quick with it. That's just my speculation. I don't know, and I'm just ready to find out. Like, the suspense is killing me, and I'm just ready to see like what's going to happen. Like, I don't know.
That is a special video from Jasmine Mills. Jasmine, thank you for that. You're absolutely right. Eddie does come in with his facts and his homework done. So you're completely right on that. What do you think, though?
And he is not afraid to question anyone or bring up counterpoints. I definitely think we are going to see some rebuttals this evening. Both Stephen and Eddie have shown that they are not afraid to do that in the past and to call someone out and to bring up a new point that maybe their competitor didn't think about before. But rebuttals could go either way. They can help you or they can harm you. I've seen that happen. Nominee Stephen Tobolowsky, NBA legend Eddie Johnson, and our very own Ramon battle it out in the 3rd match of the Celebrity Tournament tonight. I don't know who's going to win this, but Ramon's up against 2 perennial favorites. Stephen knows how to tell a great story. He can sometimes get a little lost, but he always brings it back on track at the end. Eddie's very analytical, does his homework, takes his notes, and Ramon is hungry and in it to win it. Anything can happen tonight. I predict Mr. Tobolowsky and Mr. Johnson will run away with it, but they could split enough votes that Ramon could sneak in and upset one of the heavies and one of the favorites. Let's find out what happens tonight.
Nice. Good call, Giselle. That could happen. I mean, anything can happen. We all know that. I mean, still. And Allison, solid speculation, I would say as well. Strong competitors all the way around tonight. What do you think, Howard?
You know, you said something very apropos there. Ramon is a bit of an underdog. Well, actually, Jamie, you said he's a bit of an underdog, and Gels, you said he's definitely hungry. And, I said it earlier. Is he going to be able to bring what he does to the next level? I know it's all in there. I know he has the talents there, the passions there, the intelligence is all there. But is he going to allow those things to really flourish and can come through and allow those things to breathe tonight? That's what I'm really excited to see. So cool background, Giselle. I do agree with that.
It was pretty cool, not gonna lie. But I'm not gonna reveal quite where that was. Perhaps if you know, you can figure it out.
I think I know.
I think you can figure it out. And the master of figuring things out is here behind the scenes, ready to join us on this, the third night of round 2 of the Celebrity Tournament. So let us welcome in Avi Klein.
Guys and gals and pals, I'm ready for tonight because remember something. The very essence of this tournament is on full display every Saturday night. But tonight, it's a little bit different. Tonight, guys and gals and pals, our first elimination. We go from 131 to 130. And I've been thinking about that all night. I've been thinking about that all week. My knees are getting weak because it's going to hurt me to see one person get eliminated tonight. There are no ties in round 2. And guys, I want to preface that by reminding every single person in the comment section. Hello, Chad. Hello, Jasmine. Hello, Naomi. Hello, Lena. Hello, DJ Solo. Hello, Radio Quahog. Nice to see all of you guys and gals and pals. Bring your friends in because tonight's going to be a whopper. Already 1,416 are watching on YouTube. We still are on the Facebook group pages. 53, just not my page. Because guys and gals, no matter what, we will not get zucked. But I promise you, what is going to happen, guys and gals and pals, is you will be experiencing edutainment like no other. That's when entertainment and education come together and marry one another. That's what we do here, guys and gals. We combine those two forces together. And who wins at the end of the day? All of us. But make no mistake about it. This is a sport. It's 2024. If you respect the person you're up against, there's nothing wrong with good old-fashioned competitive camaraderie. And we get that here. We get that, guys. You show up in droves, and everyone wants to win the prize, but it's about the pride. We're starting to see Stephen Tobolowsky and Eddie Johnson and all the luminaries posting about this as well, as they did all week long on their socials. They're here to win. And so is Ramon.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, no bias. I was hashtagging all over the place today on people's lives. No bias. We know that we care about all the engine members and the green roomers. There will be no bias. You will vote for whoever you think was the strongest, and so will the two judges tonight, Giselle and Jamie. But guys, in order to know how we got here, we must first take a look, I should say, at where we were a few weeks ago, guys and gals. A few weeks ago. As a matter of fact, I want to take a look at where we were September 28th. Here's some of the moments that we, guys and gals, collectively were able to enjoy and witness as an ensemble, as TKN, as the new network. And remember, do not go anywhere, because at the top of the hour, Stephen Tobolowsky, Ramon, and Eddie Johnson are all going to be in this. One will be eliminated. Already, since round 2 began, David Tank Abbott, WE Hall of Famer Teddy Long, film and TV greats Cindy Pickett and Richard Klein all advanced to round number 3 to join Giselle, Kelly White, Pinocchio Joe, and Peaceful Pete. 2 will advance to round 3 to join them. Every Saturday night, think about that for a second. Not even The Tonight Show books with this much frequency. For 16 straight months, on average, there have been 3 different luminaries unpacking 3 different topics that soon will total 500.
Ooh.
And tonight's, I got to tell you, I know what they are. Ramon knows what the topics are. Stephen, of course, and so does Eddie. That's it. But you're going to find out what they are. And the first one is a hard-hitting topic, like I promised. You'll see rebuttals. The clock will emerge at some point in round 2, I promise. But again, guys, in order to know how we got here, take a look at where we were a couple of weeks ago. and thrive. It didn't hurt that he started DJing in the car as Kevin Sullivan and Eddie Gilbert witnessed his gift. He transitioned smoothly and gradually, as it didn't happen rather swift. This man belongs to 3 Halls of Fame and was the longest reigning GM on the blue brand that is strong. In the eyes of the fans, he can do no wrong. They love the catchy theme song. So welcome a WWE Hall of Famer, talented human being, the kind and intelligent, the one and only Teddy Long. Welcome, good sir.
How do I say anything after that? I can't follow that.
Hey, my friend, you deserve every single minute of it, man. You have been up and down the road. You've not only paid your dues, but you've paid it forward, because we share mutual friends, and everyone says the same thing about you. Number 1, you keep it real. And number 2, you always give back. You always give back, and you do it in an honest way that is still respectful. That's very rare, and I want you to know that. I think you're one class act, my friend.
Thank you very much, man. And I also want to let you know, too, just thank you for making me a part of this. You know what I mean? This is really outstanding. And I watched the opening package that was put together there. Just outstanding, man. Outstanding. And so as I looked at that and I saw all the participants and the people that have been involved and the people that are involved now, you know, then it opened my eyes, you know, I'm like, hey, this is where you're supposed to be here. Look at this. So you're doing an outstanding job, man. Congratulations.
But he would walk the walk. He could do nothing better in his presence, guys and gals. He would never sit and pout. His resiliency and courage needs to be addressed, as he died 5 times on an operating table, and he had 6 strokes. For many, that would have been the end. Not for him, thankfully, as I consider him a good friend. 107 days in the ICU, and amid this turmoil, it is what he did that would raise many an eyelid, because he fought and survived the hardest fight of his life. So stand up and welcome a man known as a tank from Jersey to Madrid, a legendary, kind, humble human being, last name Abbott, first name David. Welcome, my friend, to the Grand Tournament, round number 2.
Thank you. Wow. Once again, Avi, man, you're the man. You get it out there. Thank you for all the kind words, and awesome job. I mean, you obviously know that you could throw down.
What was the best thing before sliced bread? People keep saying something was the best thing since sliced bread. What about before sliced bread?
Donuts.
Donuts.
I concur.
Should have known that, guys. Donuts, yeah, guys. Do you think that there are people out there that actually get in the shower first, then turn on the water?
Yeah, I do believe that there are some people that do that.
Really?
I have no doubt. I have no doubt.
Man, oh man,
Probably all my friends.
Guys and gals, Teddy, David, and now we're going to bring in Mr. Kelly White. Kelly, the floor is yours.
Why is Avi always making fun of me? Okay, I turn the water. I get in the shower and then turn the water on. What's the big deal? And Howard, I believe I've given you every opportunity. I've given you guidance. Your big mouth and lack of any intellect put on the line, and the most you can do is snivel and distract. What do you have to say for yourself?
Your match with Marcus Bagwell, I mean, leading up to that night, you personally knew what that was, to go inside his mind, for him to go inside your mind. Okay, yes, all right. There was one night where I crossed the line.
Yeah.
And I was on the air, and I apologized. He never apologized for the first shot that he threw, okay, which was that invasion of privacy with me and my band. That's an invasion of privacy. That is my sacred space where I create, where I bond with 3 other individuals. And he put a freaking camera in there? I'm sorry, he never apologized for that.
Where was Avi's consent when you put his ass on the line, or JW gouted you, who the Tom Sizemore Memorial Cup? All he wants to do is legitimately hold the damn thing. He just wants his shot, and your big mouth and fragile ego very likely has ripped that away from him. I'm going to say it for the last freaking time, Howard. Fix it, or I'll fix the situation myself.
Can you provide, Mr. Long, a detailed example of a time in your life where resiliency led to success?
I know that nobody else could have saved me or took care of me but God. I was taking something they call Sicanol, the medical name for them, but I think the street name they were called Red Devil. I took some of those one night and I passed out right on the radio. The light changed to green. And when that light changed to green, I remember driving off. And when I came to again, I had hit a utility pole. And if anybody had been in the car with me, I would have killed them because the pole came straight through the windshield on the passenger side. Get another job, but I don't get a job, so I end up with the wrong people and I become a heroin addict. Well, after a while with heroin, I got to a point where I was tired of being tired. So I went to God. I know what I did. I went to jail. To somewhere like a halfway house or something. And I stayed there about 2 weeks and I got out of there and I never used another drop of heroin in my life. So I finally realized, what my life means to me. And that's how I got into wrestling and I became a success there, thank God, because I changed and God helped me change and he took care of me. So that's my story.
Mr. David Tank Abbott, my friend, I will direct the same question to you, good sir.
I guess you could say I lived dog years because I crammed a lot of fun in those times. Where are we partying and what are we going to do? And boy, man, I had some really crazy fun times. Found the UFC, or should the UFC find me? It didn't exist. There was no such thing as a sport. These people didn't train. There was none of this, what it is today. It was just real fighting. And I went on and made a name for myself in street fighting and the UFC. And I was living a dream life. A guy used to run the UFC came in, and that I came to find out is when I was probably dying on the table. I had my liver transplant and died 5 times and 6 strokes. And the biggest fight was that fight. And I believe I won it. And that's just awesome.
I also have recently, it's a recorded segment, interviewed a belt maker. Now you think about what's a belt maker got to do with it? Every promotion, you see it, the big names, the WWE, AEW, all that good stuff, title belts. Every federation has them. Where do they come from? Somebody has to make them. That's part of the sport. So I was able to interview a guy. He is based in the U.S., not too far from me in Ohio.
Please, what do we have coming down the pike when it comes to the one and only paper knife?
I just completed what I refer to as workshop season here in the mid-Atlantic, but there's another one coming up in Philly in November, so you'll hear all about that on a future episode. And we will be having some guests. You'll see more footage of me, and maybe we're kind of dipping our toes into the stunt world a little bit as well.
3 books that you have written, and guys, more to come from David Abbott as well.
Yeah, they're all on Amazon. It's a trilogy, and first book is Bar Brawler, second book is Street Warrior, and the third book is Cage Fighter. And it's all a story about a young man. It's a novel that was a little crazy. His name's Walter Fox. Yeah. And it's his adventure from fighting in the streets to fighting on television a year later. And he's not like these athletic martial art guys that want to fight. This guy is really passionate about fighting and the principles and the morals and everything behind it.
We're putting something out, guys and gals, that drives away the sinner. What we're doing here is we're giving our heart and soul to all of you, but it's not Avi Klein, no. It's Teddy Long. It's David Tank Abbott. It's Miles Avery. It's Joe Montana. It's Mark Henry. It's everybody else here sharing with you a bit of their lives. So we have to thank them for that. because they, guys and gals, are salt of the earth human beings. They are here because they stand for something. They don't use their celebrity for something that we can't respect. We celebrate not the celebrity, but what they do with their celebrity.
And I also want to let you know, too, just thank you for making me a part of this. You know what I mean? This is really outstanding. And I watched the opening package that was put together. They're just outstanding, man, outstanding. And so as I looked at that and I saw all the participants and the people that have been involved and the people that are involved now, you know, then it opened my eyes, you know, I'm like, hey, this is where you're supposed to be here. Look at this. So you're doing an outstanding job, man. Congratulations.
I have to ask the question before I bring in Mr. Abbott. Teddy, again, 15,000 goes to the sole winner. There's 6 rounds in this. To all our new viewers, this is night number 1, round number 2. We did round number 1. There were a lot of eliminations, but guys and gals, again, 15 grand.
Oh, everybody wants to go to Greece. It's amazing also what people share of themselves here with us and with our viewers. Sometimes it gets me a little choked up, but at the same time, I'm excited. How do you feel about that, Giselle? I know you enjoy it.
I do so much. I love that we bring all of these people in from different professions, different backgrounds, different places in their lives, different parts of the world, because yes, we are international. We have several competitors here from Canada, and in round 1 we had Olivia Dabo over in the UK. So we're not just here in the US. We are getting to be quite global, and that's really exciting. But I was saying earlier today, I've learned so much more and want to sit down and have conversations with people who aren't in my field more than I do with those who are in my field because of outside interests or something else we might have in common. And all of those pieces come together. Allison, I vote the green one for best show on the World Wide Web. Hey, YouTube is in charge of the Webby Award, so that could potentially happen. Allison, get on that. Find a way to work that out, because that would be something incredible we could include in a milestone video at a future date. And we have hit some milestones recently.
Yes. Yes, 66.6 thousand subscribers, I believe, at this time period.
Yes.
And growing all the time from all over the world. Huge milestone. There's not a whole lot of YouTube channel. Ooh, beautiful.
At our place in the stars. It's like we've forgotten who we are now. Explorers, pioneers, not caretakers.
because on this station, we celebrate those that are passionate about their vocation. And this format is anything but the same old, so I thank you for embracing the innovation and expressing your constant elation when taking in the most star-studded tournament of them all, a place where competitors convey their level of admiration.
Six 6.6. Man, that is a beautiful number, man. But look, it's not just a number. Again, I said this in my live. It's 66,000.6 human beings, that have decided to say, hey, your content, what you are saying, what you're putting out there, it speaks to me. And that to me is what I try and keep in mind. Your thoughts, Giselle?
Yeah, I can't really say that any better. It's showing how far-reaching we are, how many people come here week after week and watch what we put out. Like, we see you in the comments section every week. We love our fans. We love our repeat viewers. Like, Avi always says you're the engine that makes this thing go. And really, we couldn't do this without you. We could, but I wouldn't have any fun talking into a void by myself in a box. So I love this open dialogue that we've created here within our own little rectangles or boxes, and with you all as our viewers. And we've seen some people come and go and stay and remain, and life happens, and some were welcomed back. And it's so beautiful that we're always so willing to give everyone a chance and hear what they have to say and see what they want to share. It's, to me, Howard, it's so unbelievable each week how giving our competitors are with their personal lives and their personal stories, because they don't have to put that out into the public, but they want to, because they want people to know that, hey, I've experienced this. You may be going through the same thing. You're not alone. You are here. I am here. I was there. And they really want to help people by sharing their stories, which the reason we bring in all of these amazing, wonderful people aren't because of just their resumes and their accolades, but because of the type of people they are. Howard, what are some of the philanthropies and community service that you remember our competitors talking about here?
I remember, Jacques has that amazing competition going on and the amazing wrestling school where he's really trying to, open the door for others. Yes. Right. It was open for him, and he's kind of giving it back and paying it forward and just nurturing the next generation of wrestling performers. But I'm sure even in that process, because he's such a beautiful, loving guy, he's also developing good human beings. Mm-hmm. And any process that kind of allows that to happen, whether it's a wrestling school, whether it's a school, whether it's whatever, I think that is what's amazing. I believe Brian Taylor also works a lot in education, if I'm not mistaken, and giving back to the youth, right? Lenny Wilkins many times has talked about that's the future,
Absolutely.
They're the future. So
that's huge for Lenny. Jacques also does a lot of anti-bullying work. Jerry Lucas does a lot of work in education. Bill Eadie does a lot of work in education. Mark Henry is in the community every freaking week, giving back, giving haircuts, sharing things. And they don't talk about this because it's the simple things that matter. They're not doing this as some kind of PR stunt. It's the kind of people they are. And it's the kind of people I think many of us aspire to be. Someone that has the ability to help. And what they've been through allows them to give back emotionally and physically and mentally and financially. I couldn't ask to be in a better place anywhere than here. Jamie, who have been some of your favorites in recent weeks?
Oh, in recent weeks, I really enjoyed Tank as well as Teddy. I mean, there's so much connection that goes on here. These are all people that are the best in the world at what they do. But you wouldn't want to have a conversation with them in your living room, which is one of the reasons I think that we're getting to 66,000. And by now, probably surpassing just a little bit, you know, people. No jinxing. Miranda, no jinxing. No, but I am just about impressed by everybody. And something that I really wanted to piggyback off what you said earlier was, you know, I do martial arts, okay, and that is my love. But to get to know people and the other things, and that when they bring out that love for something else, no matter what it is, it's the most fascinating thing ever. I know I've done martial arts demonstrations for people, and I've had them say, there's no way I ever want to do that. However, I feel your energy, and I know a guy, and they'll send somebody. You know, we're very blessed right now to be in 66,000 living rooms and to be surrounded by the people that we get to be surrounded by right now. Perhaps we should recap a little bit. Yes.
Well, we were doubly blessed, or we had a great match last week where we saw all of that come into being with film and TV greats Cindy Pickett and Richard Klein and our very own Brian. So they were very vulnerable, very giving. The topics were amazing last week. If you missed last week, we are about to show you what happened because it was incredible, and maybe we have some.
Shouldn't bald, hairy men use shampoo on their bodies and body wash on their heads?
If I talked as fast as you did, I'd have cardiac arrest.
Okay, you had a long night. You took Richard Klein out for steak dinner in New York. You had a couple of drinks. You wake up the next day. You're picking up a suitcase. You think it's heavy. You think it's full, but it's empty. And you realize for a split second, I'm really strong.
Yeah, that's happened all the time.
Their deadline. So look at the headline. No need for a sign, because this gentleman's presence will be sure to make your soul shine. If this were the 80s, I'd express this fact on a hotline. If your phone wouldn't work, you'd hear it through the grapevine. They're pumped and ready to go, guys and gals, from the French Alps to the Bora Bora shoreline. We're all excited. No need to deadpan like Ben Stein. All these sentiments hit you hard and sharp like an overzealous porcupine. This is a safe place indeed, until a mother-in-law hands you a Valentine. So sit back and recline as our next luminary shines, oh so bright like a New York City skyline, and put your hands together for a fine and incredible human being. First name Richard, last name Klein.
I didn't realize coming into this TKN extravaganza what an incredible marketplace and forum for all these people. It's a forum for the ideas, and it's amazing that you see some of these people who are, icons in their field, who actually have a brain and can communicate some wonderful things. And so anybody tuning in, it's a gift. It's a gift for them. And
I appreciate that.
You should be praised for that, because
she has presence and range and has always been able to make small and big screens shine. She was incredible. My first name, Stephen, circa 1989. She sank her teeth into her role as Dr. Carol on St. Elsewhere. Her heart and way of being is a gift that is absolutely rare. Loved her in Hot to Trot, Sleepwalkers, and Son-in-Law. Her performance in the next film left us all in awe. She played a loving mom to a boy named Ferris. What could be cooler? In case you're a youngster, I'm talking about the one and only Ferris Bueller. So put your hands together for a dear friend and human being. Last name Pickett, first name Cindy. Cindy, welcome, my dear friend, to round 2 of the Celebrity Tournament.
Oh my God, you made me cry. That was so beautiful. Awesome. You're awesome. Thank you. Because your mantra is life, love, and laughter. And that's mine. and honesty and realness, honesty. Anyway, well, you're wonderful. I'm really so moved by that introduction. Thank you.
Industrial-sized air conditioners at your favorite B&B in Alaska, guys and gals and pals, would be rendered obsolete after witnessing that intro because we're all fired up. That much is a fact. You have all experienced luminary after luminary. Enter this virtual arena. Indeed, this tournament is jam-packed. I dub this vision of mine edutainment because I place emphasis on entertainment and education. Because on this station, we celebrate those that are passionate about their vocation. And this format is anything but the same old, so I thank you for embracing the innovation and expressing your constant elation when taking in the most star-studded tournament of them all, a place where competitors convey their level of admiration, while we marvel at the information, passion, and perspiration when observing this wide array of talent that make up the population of strong-minded thinkers that enlighten us all. And this is why I subscribe to conversation, because listening and applying is how we get to our destination. Gloria, Cindy this time, and Larry voting for Richard in this one. His answer just spoke to me a lot more. Appreciate that. Absolutely. Guys, I'm going to count this down. 10, 9, 8, 7, there's 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1 and a 0. Guys and gals and pals. Moving on to round number 3 of the TKN Celebrity Tournament are none other than Richard Klein and Cindy Pickett. They will both be in round number 3, but give it up for Brian, who is one hell of a sport. Again, gave us a piece of his mind, his heart, his soul. This is going to be a fascinating conversation about all things recovery and mental health.
It's essentially you made a decision to turn your will and your life over to the care of God as you understand. And that to me is pretty powerful because it's a program that doesn't necessarily tell you what the nature of that power is. It doesn't tell you what the nature of God is. It's something you discover through your journey. Meeting at 6. No jinxing.
Yeah, literally everyone who knows me knows that I do that. Like it's a thing where it's just if I want something to happen, I'll say it. AA, NA, all those things, they really help others to connect with people who are going through similar situations, and you share, life experiences. And
there were certain parts of my belongings that my kids had that I turned in to making money to support my habits, video games, stuff like that. I made their childhood crappy.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that addiction is super strong.
This is sort of their time because it's 12 midnight for crying out loud. And the last thing she wants to do is be on the phone, but she has picked it up because she knows what Miranda's character is going through. That is the scenario.
So yeah, I just would like an apology before I give one. That's all.
Do you think it would help her if you apologized first?
Brian has been monitoring Howard for several weeks and has noticed his unfortunate pattern.
Do you need a place to stay? You have a place, first of all.
Why do you care?
Why? Because I've been there. Look, I can't let you keep this job. I'm sorry, man. But I can give you a place to stay. Listen to me. As long as you're willing to let me help you and get help. Promise?
I'm lost.
I know.
I don't know where's up or down, left or right.
I've been there, man.
I call this Portrait of a Smile because to power a better tomorrow, Sometimes it's never been more important to harness lessons from the past, guys and gals. History may be unevenly written and unevenly shared by some, but even if we never arrive at a singular truth or telling our story, it's our aim to do better, to make the tent bigger, to understand a more multifaceted perspective. So guys, the question for Cindy and for Brian and for Richard is one and the same. They receive them, of course. If a painter decided to paint the happiest day of your life, what would it look like and why? This last topic is all about humanity, because we're usually defined as human beings, that is, by a sense of personality, experiences, reason maybe. But we're inclined to believe that the face we see in the mirror might be us. And that could have developed a personality through our life experiences. Maybe we utilize the brain as a way to survive, to calculate, to function with various social contexts, but it also favors order rather than chaos. But who are we? Truly, who are we as human beings? The question is for all three of you. Richard, what is one thing about yourself that you simply cannot comprehend?
When I was young, I was my first year at University of Texas. I got pregnant. During that time, there were no abortions. You'd go to Mexico, get a coat hanger, it just wasn't, one night my dad came upstairs and said, "You're in trouble. You're in trouble, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." And he brought my mother up, said, "Millie, come up." And they just held me. There was no judgment. Our child was kept in the family. My uncle, my dad's brother, one of his children, she and her husband couldn't have children, so they adopted my child. So the doctor, this is my moment. The doctor said, "He's coming out. Reach down." And I reached down and I pulled him out of my body and put him on my chest. And it was just, the whole story was just perfect.
But having that moment where I wasn't alone anymore, where I knew that I had the rocks that I could hold on to and could hold me up. The moment that I looked at my child's face when they were born, the moment that I realized I wasn't worthless. I would say it was the moment when my first child was born, but no, because it got even better when I had to. And it was a surprise, a real surprise. We weren't expecting, and just, it was there.
But for me, it was coming back from Vietnam after a year. And of course, being the theatrical soldier that I was, I kissed the tarmac of the Fort Lewis airport. And at the end of the corridor was my mother, my father, and my sister and her husband and their dog Barney, a little Cocker Spaniel. And my sister's husband let the dog go, and the dog came running to me and embraced me. And that was the happiest day of my life.
Man, what an introduction. I hope I can live up to that. God bless you.
God bless you, my friend. God bless you. You will always live up to that. And by the way, a fellow North Jersey native. Listen, Gab, I know that we hit it off a lot, but we also broke bread in New York.
Yes, we
and
did.
I like how a conversation brought two people together.
Yes, it did. And thank you, because I enjoyed the conversation as well.
The cab driver want to take you to the airport by way of Western Kentucky.
Giving me your thoughts and your input, because as I told you, that piece that you sent me is, I love good writing, and I think
Thank
that's
you,
been
sir.
my career.
Or 95-year-old women resorting to profanity.
I'd love to see the 95-year-old woman belching with profanity.
That's close. We can combine them. Thank you for being you, my friend. I appreciate you and respect you wholeheartedly.
And that goes double for me to you, Avi.
It's so funny how I can't get one word out, which is rare for me. But inside, he's reading 30 monologues. Now, my soul was written for him already. His mental health was his wealth. He valued principles, values. He had a core system of beliefs. And there's a lot of artists, African Americans, women, people who were struggling to have their voice be heard. Grew up watching America's Dad. They grew up watching John Amos. I was one of them. But I would never trade John Amos the person for any of his characters. What matters are the smiles and thrills. And he gave a lot of people smiles and thrills that went beyond the dollar bills. That's John Amos.
Wow. What a roller coaster. You know? In every good sense of that word. You know, it's just, wow. That's what we do. That's what we do.
It's all laid out there. It's all laid out there every Saturday night in the living room, you know, and you don't know what you're going to get. And some amazing moments for sure. Amazing moments.
And we have added a John Amos trophy to this competition. So there's the Tom Sizemore Cup. There's the John Amos trophy. There's the $15,000. There's the trip to Greece. But all of that pales to the family we've lost in Dell and Tom and Mr. Amos.
Amen, Giselle.
I said, well, first off, all three of you have lovely hearts. I know that it's usually high octane and it's going to get like that real soon because our second round match is upon us. But John Amos was, as you saw in that video, a dear friend first and a colleague second. But to his family, he was a shining example of what's right about humanity. Gosh almighty, we've been losing a lot of people, and we're going to continue that because such is the cycle of life. And I know it's been drawn out and probably been mentioned countless times, but does it really have to take a death in order to love someone? Does it really have to take a death in order to embrace someone that you love? Does it have to be something catastrophic that occurs to pick up the phone and swallow that pride? Oh God, that pride. God, it feels like you could feel like a skyscraper stuck in your throat sometimes. God almighty, I hope not. Guys, I hope not. Don't. Please reach out to someone you love. Please let it be a father or mother or a sister or a brother or a friend. Please sometimes let bygones be bygones. It is so important. You know, what are we all in this for? Are we competing for numbers and metrics? No. You know, with TKN, we're glad and we always happily and humbly boast about our numbers, but not in a fashion that's superficial because our growth has everything to do with the heart that every person that makes this network what it is. Howard, Jamie, Giselle, Stephen, Eddie Johnson, Ramon, every single person that's a part of this foundation. We want to reach even more people. 2 million is great. Mm-hmm. Guys and gals, an update from Eddie Johnson, who again, I asked him earlier this week if he wanted to postpone because he found out, again, a game in Denver. Last minute, they asked him, and he did not want to miss this. That's how important it is for him. I know Eddie well. He is 5 minutes away from the hotel. He's got his setup ready. So again, Eddie Johnson will sign in momentarily. So will Ramon. I will play a very cool intro video for Stephen, Eddie, and Ramon to get them in the spirit of things. They have their topics. They are ready to go. And guys and gals, just again, make sure that you are ready to vote on who resonates most with you. Voting is pure. Right, Jamie? Isn't voting something that, you know, in other arenas, it's off with their heads. Not here. Here, the voting means thank you because what you said resonated with me. But let's be honest here. The rebutting is great. There's nothing wrong with competitive camaraderie. Because at the end of the day, you're going to see smiles and respect all across the board. You know, if one of the three gets eliminated, they might text me and say, I can't really say that here. It's a family program.
Explicit.
You're going to say stuff.
Because with all this means something to us. I've always said hoisting that trophy, great. 15 grand, great. Trip to Greece, great. But again, knowing that you could win a tournament that stands for something humane. I mean, look, 2024, we need a lot of that, right, Jamie?
Absolutely. We need connection. That's what everybody's running around with these crazy devices in our pockets for. And I'm really thankful, Avi Klein and Howard and Giselle, I can be a part of connecting with people with you every Saturday night. It's just an amazing experience. And, I never got to know Mr. Amos, but he played the quintessential American dad. And for kids that were called what do they call us? Some lock key kids went home after
the latchkey
kids. See, I was one, don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes coming home and watching shows like that and seeing how somebody who wasn't a perfect dad always looked out for everybody and was a voice of reason at times. It's amazing, and we all feel like we missed something.
Really do.
My heart goes out to you.
Thank you. And again, guys, thank you all for making this place what it is. Already we have 1,400 watching on YouTube alone. Not to mention, guys, 53 pages on Facebook. So again, we appreciate you all. 4 years ago, we were doing the big donut. Now 2 million. Funny how a studio's mind can change about a show so quickly. I could tell you that here. Again, guys, in case you don't know, writing professionally for the studio system for 20 years now, 20 and a half years, I never wanted to abandon what makes me love to write, which is all about the human experience. And we're getting so much of that because there's a lot of trust. Let's not take that for granted, whether it's Stephen or Eddie or Ramon or Jamie or Giselle or Howard or Lou Ferrigno or anyone who's in this amazing tournament. We got 131 Hall of Famers from the world of sports, music, wrestling, not to mention Oscar, Grammy, Tony, Emmy, Golden Globe, AMA, WGA, and Olympians, all competing for the pride and the prize. But guys, it's not merely the size. It's the trust. It's the trust. It's the fact that we trust each other. The pomp and circumstance, that takes a back seat once we really delve into the heart of the matter or matters. But man, that's why we call this place edutainment. We have philosophical fun and a little bit of competitive camaraderie along the way. We want to make sure that because there's nothing like this out there, that we take our time. Every Saturday night on average, 3 luminaries for 16 months appearing live. That's very rare. And on top of that, 3 different topics on average in round number 1. That's almost 500 different topics. It's been a joy to be able to sit and think. And if you have a chance, do that. It's so much fun. It's to simplify this, to sit and think with your thoughts. I love putting topics together on a Sunday night at 2 a.m., looking outside when the world is sleeping. It's great to be able to just watch the show unfold before your eyes, before it even goes live. There's something to be said about trusting the people here on screen that really stand for something. And, again, speaking of standout stories with Stephen Tobolowsky is going to be on air very soon. I'm blown away by this man telling stories. I am blown away by how I can sit there. Best seat in the house, mind you. Don't get jealous. But I got the best seat in the house. I'm listening to Stephen Tobolowsky with so much thoughtfulness. When he tells his story, there's so much heart there. But I also love that he's doing this for the grandkids. I love that. I love that he's doing this because what a legacy he's leaving behind. Way before being part of TKN, just doing what he did with his stories and now, again, illustrating them the way he does. Howard, you've been here since day number 1.
Yeah.
You work behind the scenes as well. What a storyteller Stephen is, and he's so giving, isn't he?
Tremendously. I remember, I don't know if it was his first ever appearance here, but he talks about that moment where he was held up, or the supermarket was being held up.
In Dallas, I think, yes.
Yes. And I'm hearing that for the first time. I'm like, oh my God, is this serious? Did this actually happen? And I'm like getting goosebumps as I'm hearing this story. I'm like at the edge of my seat. I'm like, but that's Stephen Tobolowsky. I mean, the master storyteller. It's every time he's on the show, and I'm not just saying this, there's a notebook and a pen.
Yeah.
Because it's educational. He's teaching without even trying to teach. And so I'm grateful to just, but also it's what you guys do, you Avi and Stephen. It's the banter, it's the the questions you ask him, that dance that you guys have, that is really awesome to watch. So that's so much a huge part of it as well.
Well, Giselle, you're also a wonderful storyteller who's devoted her life to this craft that we love so much. Of course, we're very passionate about the stage. You've been on Stephen Tobolowsky's show, Standout Stories, before. What are your thoughts of Mr. Tobolowsky?
Oh my gosh, he's a great person. He's apparently lived an incredible life. It's so amazing to think of the stories that have happened in your life that might seem out there to someone else, and then to have an entire collection of them, and then to be able to both write them down and speak them in a way that makes sense in both formats.
Yeah.
He's an incredible teacher as well.
Yes, he is.
He loves the craft. He loves to keep working. Very humble.
Zimbus says, can't wait to see Stephen in person next week.
Oh,
okay. There we go. Wonder who Zimbus is. That's a really good point that you brought up, Giselle, in different formats. Yeah, not many people have the ability to resonate with the masses, not only on different formats, but being able to do something that isn't so traditional. Although storytelling should be, I guess, lost in the way is the honesty and truthfulness that Stephen brings and provides, because these stories, they make you think, but the fact that they actually happened, I mean, that gives me goosebumps. And I remember from day one telling myself, Rick Barry said the same. And by the way, when I spoke to Stephen on the phone this week, I felt so bad. I interrupted him because what was he doing? Writing a great story, of course. He does that so well. Oh gosh, I could spend 4 years in any school, and I could never do what Stephen could probably do in his sleep. But Rick Barry, NBA Hall of Famer, he was on with Stephen a few years back during Stephen's first episode, his debut episode here under this great umbrella called TKN. And Rick said, I watched so many of Stephen's films, but I never wanted to get to know him as much as I do now. And I love that. I thought what a great compliment. Yeah. I never wanted to get to know him more because they were sort of kind of like two ships sailing. Rick finished his segment. Stephen was coming in, right? That's how it happened. They shared the screen another time again. But yeah, that's really what he brings. And I say that about Eddie Johnson too. Eddie Johnson was a history major. He has done so much to help athletes learn about how to save their money. Let's simplify how to save their money and how to invest properly. The man wants to do more on this platform, and he and I have a show called The Motivating Factor, and Eddie and I will be talking about all things economics. And it is an exciting show because the saddest thing is to see a lot of athletes who are 19, 20 years old. Oh God, they cherish their vocation. They love their craft, but they don't know how to manage their finances, and no one really teaches them along the way. And that's a different story for a different time. But Eddie is able to educate a lot of young athletes because they respect him. Let's be honest here. Nobody, maybe 22 other players scored more points in NBA history. Let's think of that for a second. Let's take that in. Eddie Johnson, one of the greatest scorers of all time. And on top of that, guys and gals and pals, he calls Phoenix Suns games. I mean, that's what he does now. He's a current Phoenix Suns analyst. You see him on cable TV calling Suns games. So he's a broadcasting legend. But really what he does with educating athletes, the way that he does, and I've seen it happen, I've seen it with my own eyes, he's able to connect with them in ways that I think is necessary today because the athlete has so much to give, him or herself, and yet they're under a microscope. They're scrutinized so much. Would you guys agree?
Absolutely.
I think that goes for anyone in the public sphere. And sometimes it's heartbreaking because, as we've proven on the show time and time again, they're just like everyday people. They have to go to the store. They have to get their laundry done. They have to get the dishes done. And whether they're doing it themselves or they have help, it still needs to be done. So that's really what I love a lot about this tournament. We have people like Stephen. We have people like Eddie. They come in and we see how genuine and down to earth they are and how much they really do want to help the next generation of storytellers or the next generation of athletes. It's so beautiful to see week in and week out. It's not just one or two people. It's people everywhere. So we have this connection. You can find that wherever you are, in the States, in North America, in the world. And that's really what we are all about here.
I would concur. Guys, Eddie's signing in at any moment. Again, you already saw the countdown video, the milestone video. There's going to be an intro again to start this thing off. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope the luminaries in the back enjoy the intro. And then once the intro is wrapped up, guys, once it's off screen, I'll be on screen. I'll introduce everybody one at a time. They know their topics. We have our judges. They're going to be ready to go at this as well. So will you guys. Again, who resonates most with you? There's no bias here whatsoever. 2 out of 3 will advance, as it always is in a 3-way match. 2 out of 3 move on to round number 3. Taking our time with this tournament. We love that because we're still growing. But again, one will win $15,000 and a 5-day trip to Greece. Guys, the prize may balloon. It may increase even more. You never know.
Wow.
We have a lot of people that believe in what we're doing, and I'm proud of that because we have a lot of high hopes and we see the potential of where we're going here with this network. And one thing we're not going to do is lose our humanity along the way. Let's pull up some of your comments. Julio, can't wait for the match to start. Nail-biting in anticipation. Yeah. Christopher, so true. These celebrities that appear on TKN get a chance to be who they really are. Eddie Johnson was one of the best. Totally agree. You're right about that. This just in. This is from, I believe, Zimbus. He's going to see Stephen at Theater 40 because, yes, he's doing a benefit in L.A. Some of his best. I want to talk about that. We're going to speak about that post-match with Stephen so we can let you all know. Guys, again, 2 million here that watch. You got to watch Stephen. He's doing this in L.A. It's going to be a great benefit with some of the stories that I'd mentioned earlier. I mean, God almighty. And it's the way he's able to interweave them, too, which I really like. Chad, I'm super pumped and excited. Good luck to all 3 competitors. Absolutely. Guys, Eddie's going to sign in momentarily. Momentarily, he's signing in. The anticipation is building. Will is excited. Remember, guys, every Saturday night, the format is going to stay relatively the same as it has been. There'll be a countdown clock. There will be an intro, and then I will introduce the competitors. Tonight, again, Eddie was supposed to be at a game. He's right here competing instead. Guys, I'm going to call Eddie, who called me on his cell phone. Howard, Jamie, and Giselle, we're going to be on momentarily. Take it away for now.
Yeah.
Hey, I had really, no, I'm sorry, I just snuck right in there, Giselle, but I had no idea. I mean, we talked about Stephen Tobolowsky being able to switch formats. Interesting life, interesting artist, right?
Yeah.
Eddie Johnson, the same thing, though.
Yeah.
He's done film, he's done stage, he's done television, and then he goes and writes a book. And if he hasn't turned that into an audiobook yet, there's no better narrator than himself because the way he tells his own stories is unbelievable. And a lot of times when performers or comedians have their memoirs, they are the best tellers of their stories. And that's absolutely. I don't want to take anything away from voiceover artists and audiobook producers because I am one as well. But hearing the memoirs of comedians, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Stephen Tobolowsky in their own voice, they know exactly where all those little beats are to bring the best out of their story and really drive that meaning home. But Jamie, you were continuing?
Oh, I was just this after every time I'm here, I'm learning, right? I knew about Eddie Johnson. Obviously, the man is a luminary in his field. But in context, I mean, being the player that he is, as well as the announcer and what he's doing behind the scenes, right? This is going to be a rough one for Ramon. I mean, I know he's got it in him. I know he does. Because let's face it, Avi Klein knows what he's doing. He would
well, guys and gals and pals, again, the intro is going to play right now. No! Eddie's in the back, guys. Again, give this man a hand because the man is extremely busy. And like I said earlier, he does so much for the youth. Whether it's helping them out understand, again, economically speaking, how to manage their finances, whether it's delving into history, whether it's giving it real, which is what we need in 2024 and beyond. The man is here. Stephen, guys and gals, is a treasure of a human being. Ramon is going to be here as well. That being said, I'm going to get out of here. So is Jamie. So is Howard. So is Giselle. They're going to be backstage. And guys and gals, I want Eddie and Stephen to relax if they want to enjoy this intro. It's going to be playing right now. And right after this one intro, one video, I will be up introducing them one at a time. 2 out of 3 advance, rebuttals. Guys and gals, put your thinking caps on. Get ready to get inspired by these 3 lovely human beings.
There are those of us who like to venture to the unexplored, to see the beauty in the strange and unknown. Those of us who go out there with a sense of wonder.
It's the magic of risking everything for a dream that nobody sees but you. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the shadow of the shade. Yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me, unafraid. God, it matters not how straight the gate, how punishment charged the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. I have to remind myself that some birds aren't meant to be caged. Their feathers are just too bright. And when they fly away, the part of you that knows it was a sin to lock them up does rejoice. Let me tell you about a voice.
The one that whispers. It tells me what's right and what's not, when to leave and where to go. It's not Shakespeare. It does not speak in memorable lines. My inner voice always gives it to me straight. Tells me who my real friends are, when to say yes, when to say no. Whether the person sitting next to me is the one I'll be spending the rest of my life with.
You already know that dedication, hard work, and perseverance gives positive results.
Let your instincts guide you.
Your 15 minutes are up. You better start thinking of something else. What else to do? What do I want to do? I was picked a day that I was going to go to the Taxi and Limousine Commission to try and get my license. And the day before I decided to go, I got a call from my agent. Paul Newman is casting, wants to see you. Getting a job is like having money in your pocket. If you got it, you can get it. Strangely enough, so this was in September. By October, I had a TV job, an off-Broadway show. I was directing a play, and I was going to be in January going to do this movie. It was called Harry and Sons. Go figure. What would you do if you weren't an actor? If you didn't make it as an actor, what would you do? I have no idea. I would act somewhere, because I'll die if I don't.
Mark Barry, a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame and one of the NBA's top 50 players. And I'm really excited to tell you about my new relationship in the broadcasting world with the new network.
It's TKN, and a young man named Avi Klein has poured his blood, sweat, and tears into creating this new network and assembling an amazing group of individuals to co-host shows with him throughout the network, covering everything you can imagine. He's assembled artists, authors, film entertainers,
legends from every walk of life who are just bringing their knowledge and their experience and their wisdom, and this is amazing. Like in a day and age when our airwaves are just completely oversaturated with false narratives, with social media futility, with craziness, Avi just is I feel like this is a cosmic convergence of what is most important to him, and he's such a stand-up guy.
Here, but with a very warm heart for Avi and thanking him for all the work he's put into creating the new network. For me, I have just a teeny part of this in terms of having a program that's based on storytelling, where I get to share some of my stories with you.
I can't even imagine how hard Avi Klein works. He tells me he gets 4 hours of sleep a day, and I actually believe that, because Avi is so passionate, he works so hard, and
tune into Avi's network, because there's a lot of jewels that we're going to uncover.
I'm going to be tagging up again with my great friend and tag team partner Avi Klein for Breaking the Ice, which will be just one show out of many that are part of the new network.
He's very respectful, and he really connects with the artists and his audiences, and I felt like this guy's on to something, and I'm proud to be a part of this with him.
Avi, congratulations. I don't know anybody that can talk as much as you. Seriously, I thought I could talk. You are unreal. But you do it with class, understanding, professionalism. You're simply amazing. I told you that when I first met you. And you ran off my autobiography. It basically was a book. It was simply fantastic. And to think that you do that every show.
The thing is you put out a stage out here, you give us a floor to go on of competition, and everybody can relate to having competition.
I just think it's going to be, a lot of fun for people. I don't think people, there's nothing like this on the air, I don't think, really. No, there isn't. I just think it's going to be I'm very interested in how people respond to it, because I know it's going to be interesting, and see if people tune in and stay tuned in. And I really hope they do, and I'm all yours, bro. Let's go out and make this work, all right? I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Love you, Mr. Amos. Love you, Mr. Sizemore. Guys and gals and pals, industrial-sized air conditioners at your favorite B&B in Alaska would be rendered obsolete after witnessing that intro, because we're all fired up. That much is a fact. You've all experienced luminary after luminary enter this virtual arena. Indeed, this tournament is stacked. I dub this vision of mine edutainment, because I place emphasis on entertainment and education. Because on this station, we celebrate those that are passionate about their vocation. And this format is anything but the same old, so I thank you for embracing the innovation and expressing your constant elation when taking in the most star-studded tournament of them all. A place where competitors convey their level of admiration, while we marvel at the information, passion, and perspiration when observing this wide array of talent that makes up the population of strong-minded thinkers that enlighten us, which is why I subscribe to conversation, because listening and applying is how we get to our destination. We're all so much closer than we are apart, which is why this show offers a demonstration about what's right, about us as a society. So for the new viewers out there who have a fascination, sit back and enjoy as I put a cap on this verbal dissertation. Let's keep doing what we do and realize our motto isn't a Sherlock Holmes mystery. A legendary director of Superman fame, my mentor, told me years ago, write your own history. Teaching history and screenwriting for the very best was one thing. Sharing your history is an honor That mentor lives in my heart daily. His name was Richard Donner. So let's sit back and realize that what we've witnessed here in this tournament, oh so grand. As of tonight, guys and gals, 131 Hall of Famers and award winners and nominees own this land as we discover and rediscover our humanity through open dialogue and expand. So be prepared to give a hand to competitors. They're about to work their sweat gland, and all the while, our attention they command. With 15 grand and a 5-day and 5-night trip to Greece on the line, one can't forget about the pride and the prize. So with that, let's all rise and reprise our roles as educational voyeurs that never chastise or agonize, but rather revel in our beautiful reality without needing a disguise. Here on this network, we're allergic to lies. The bard, Mr. Shakespeare, once said, "It is not in the stars to hold our destiny, but in ourselves. So if you love something, then don't hate others that do, because doing is the sweet nectar that is most rewarding. Take a moment to breathe, admire your desire to aspire, because if you don't, life will be but a blur. Of this I'm sure. So never hate the flower for starting out as a seed. Long distance running is essential. This isn't a stampede, so don't run anyone over on your way to the top. Focus on yourself and never forget to cheerlead. Root for your loved ones and lift people up." This human fortune cookie hopes that we've all agreed that positivity is something we can never concede. If you think you're beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win but you think you can't, it's almost the cinch that you won't. If you think you lose, you're lost. For out in the world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. So guys and gals and pals, right now, live, let's take a look at our very first participants.
Guess what? It's going to go pretty well. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs. I'm not going to tell you the specifics because you get too scared. So just appreciate where you are. All over the place, and it just felt like I was hitting triples no matter what I did. And then people are like, "Are you really as confident as you seem?" And I was like, "I guess right now I am, yeah."
I do not think those movies represented her in the way that she should be represented in. Storm is an Omega level mutant, and to those that don't know what that means, it is basically a mutant whose powers go beyond what is imaginable, like beyond.
I am pumped up. I'm excited. 131 competitors. And tonight, it's down to 130 because one will be eliminated, guys, and two will advance to round number 3. At the end, as sappy as it sounds, and I'd rather be sappy than cynical, we're all going to be winners here, guys and gals, because we're going to learn. It's all about the human experience. But remember, guys, right now, our first participant is ready to enter this virtual arena. I cannot wait to bring him in. Class and respect are sought after by those who deem it rare. This man will look you in the eyes and give it his all and always make it fair. He's well-spoken, positive, consistent, and is a TKN delight. By that, I mean his strength lies in the fact that he always believes in what is right. He has a tall task if he will be one of the two that advance to round number 3. He will not back down, surrender, quit, run the other way, or flee. Shakespeare said nothing can seem foul to those that win, so go and get it. Anything less would be a sin. Your points can't be paper thin. Do what you do and make us grin. Leave us wanting more, even after our din-din. Will this participant light the screen up like the legendary Earl Flynn? If you face him, you might just wind up groaning, as you might let out a deep moan. So let's welcome a man of dignity in class, the one and only Ramon. Welcome, good sir, to round number 2 of the TKN Celebrity Tournament.
Thank you so much, Avi. That intro was amazing. Good God, I'm so glad I got that one of those rhymes. I'm so happy to be here, man.
I'm so happy you're here. You're humble, you're smart, you're intelligent. The question before I bring in our second competitor, Mr. Tobolowsky, and then Eddie, I got to ask you, Ramon, the question in everybody's mind. 15 grand, trip for Greece, round 2. There are no more ties. There were in round 1. There are no more ties. If we do have a tie, it's cumulative. Remember that, right? Your points carry over to topic 2. It is cumulative. If there's a tie, that means one of our viewers will serve as the tiebreaker and they'll break the tie. Ramon, are you here to win the entire thing, my friend?
I am here to win, okay? I didn't get into this tournament just to be here. I came into here to slay.
Ramon,
I really want this.
I'm going to announce this so Eddie and Stephen can hear as well. There's many as 2 rebuttals per topic. The way that works is just like round 1, nothing's changed. To rebut, all you got to do is lift that index finger. When you're speaking, Stephen and Eddie can rebut you. When Eddie's speaking, Stephen and yourself can rebut him. All you got to do is lift the index finger up. I'll pop in, wait for me to pop in. I'll make it official, and then you can rebut. Rebuttals are a part of this, guys and gals, as well. Again, gives a person a chance to react, maybe formulate some thoughts, pose some questions. That's what we're going to do. Ramon, I'm going to put you backstage and bring you back momentarily.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I'm excited. I really am, guys. I feel like I'm in this match right now. This is exciting for me. We're going to learn a lot, which is great. We're going to have fun doing it. How great is that on a Saturday night? Who would have thought? What a concept. You get to learn and have fun at the same night. That's what we do here on TKN. Guys and gals and pals. Storytelling. Oh, storytelling. It reveals meaning without committing the error of defining it. Our next participant is a man of honor, respect, dignity, and virtue. Time and again, he's filled a blank canvas with beautiful works of art that go several layers of magnitude deep. He's found the similarity in what is apparently different, and then found himself there in all of his roles. Do you know what that's called, guys and gals and pals? It's called honest and truthful storytelling. And through his works of art, we, the audience, have always, every single time, benefited greatly.
90% of life is just showing up. That's it. If you show up, there's a chance that something might happen. You'll never know what opportunities you're missing out on until you just go out and do it. 4, you will always have some sort of conflict going on in your life. You must learn to enjoy life while still solving them. There is beauty in everything we experience. You just need to adjust your perception. You can either cry in the storm or dance in the rain.
What I'd used was my instinct. What the fun I get out of it is, the real fun is never knowing what's going to happen next. And even on stage, if you're repeating a performance, you're not quite sure what's going to happen next. And I think that's what you have to do with the other actors. Keep it fluid all the time.
Are coming into America, changing the demographic of America. And even though ice hockey is the fastest and most fantastic game in the world to watch, more and more and more soccer fans are going to come to the United States.
Kansas, go ahead.
Okay, this is how out of it Superman is. He works at a newspaper, the Daily Planet. Newspapers are done, man. And I want to be clear, I am not making the case that entertainers should be role models. The biggest problem with Superman is, Todd, you know, I know, everybody listens, and it begins with a K, kryptonite.
There he is, guys, a dear friend who I care about very, very much. Guys and gals and pals, this man provides everything in abundance as he subscribes to loyalty over royalty, as wealth is not something that you can buy. From day number 1, he has not only been an ally, but a man I owe a lot to because he's a man that stays grounded even though he can fly. Yes, he soared to heights all of us can only dream of, yet his reality is much more fulfilling than anything the Sandman can sprinkle. His wholehearted and genuine sentiments can inspire anyone, even a lazy old Rip Van Winkle. More than anything else, he's restored my faith in humanity because his intellect, grace, humility, and heart are all qualities that I never take for granted. His personality and heart, larger than a serve from Andre Agassi, a bass solo from the Red Hot Chili Peppers member Flea, a right hook from Muhammad Ali, and yes, even a redwood tree. There is so much more to say about him, which is why I'm only getting started. Yes, he's a talent, sure he's professional, but he's also a friend and truly warm-hearted. He provides a plethora of knowledge and information to our TKN network and his class personified, but he wants to win this tournament. It isn't just about the prize, but rather than the pride. Are you glad you're all here? This match will be sure to keep you in your seats. You'll never be leaving. A huge part of that is due to the presence of a man named Stephen. I've yet to meet anyone like him who can tell quite a story. They are the stuff of legend, like the managerial skills of one Joe Torre. You'll never find anyone so honest, down-to-earth, and kind. Now comes the fun part. All you have to do is sit back and unwind as I welcome someone who has not only won, guys and gals, but he's won my heart over not only once, twice, but thrice. He's coming in strong, guys and gals. These rhymes have come to an end. Let's roll up our sleeves and start achieving as I welcome a dear friend and wonderful, talented, genuine human being. Last name Tobolowsky. First name Stephen. Welcome, good sir.
Oh, I was waiting for the rhyme to come. I wasn't sure if it was going to be on a ski, but going to win with Stephen. I'm overwhelmed, and I need to apologize for this beard. I'm not trying to imitate you, Avi. I'm not trying to imitate. No, this is for a part that's coming up. I'm playing a hippie who went to Woodstock in '68 and never left. So this is the beginning of the end for me. I don't know. My wife is not thrilled about this.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, no, it's not a good thing. And it's like sandpaper, but my apologies to everybody if you're not used to the
I was going to also ask you if it's an intimidation tactic, perhaps.
Well, it could be. It could be, I mean, I'm a little shaken here, with the competition today. And I thought maybe the more grizzled I look, the more I could throw down with these guys.
Stephen, I get you were there since day number one, the bottom floor. You were there. We're at 2 million views now because of a gentleman like you and Eddie and Ramon and everybody else that's a part of this thing. We're doing great. I got to ask you this thing. The Bart Shakespeare Love Competition. Stacy Keach, who was on here last year, says, I love everybody and respect them, but the moment that light goes on, we're ready to compete. I'm here to win. I'll ask you the same question, my friend. Are you here to win the whole thing?
I'm here to win the entire whole thing. Means a lot to me, and it's going to mean a lot to my wife, Ann.
I love that. And you got to have quite the story. Guys, Stephen Tobolowsky has a show with me, Standout Stories on this network. So does our next luminary as well. Guys, Stephen Tobolowsky is here to win again. I'm going to put you backstage momentarily and bring in our third participant, my friend. To know him is to love him, and that is the truth. Stephen Tobolowsky makes us all better. So does this man, guys and gals, who had, in my opinion, the smoothest jump shot I have ever seen in my entire life. But not as valuable as what he does by giving back and paying it forward, because you better believe he does. The man's work ethic is just unparalleled. It really is. He's here tonight. I'm proud of the fact that he is. Guys and gals, a smile is the light in your window that can tell others that there's a caring, sharing person that lives inside. To quote legendary poet Walt Whitman, he said, I'm the friend of all, comrade of all who shake hands and welcome all who bring respect. And the above rings oh so true when describing the next participant tonight. Helping others has been important to him, guys and gals, always. He's a class act and realizes that without a sense of caring, there can be no sense of community. He's persevered and educated the masses by being true to himself wholeheartedly. Our life is ours, but his has been for the betterment of others, because he always, and I mean always, gives back. Guys and gals and pals, if you will, please take a look at one Eddie Johnson.
I think my achievements on the basketball court just came from a whole lot of things coming together in one place, in one person. I was able to learn the game from some of the best teachers, and I had particular skills that translated well to playing the game. So the knowledge that I had and the physical gifts that I had gave me the opportunity to be a very good player, and I was able to take advantage of that. I think life in the NBA was pretty easy because you're getting paid to do something that you'd done for free prior to that. You get paid pretty well, and that's all that you have to do. So all other distractions are on the periphery, and you can concentrate just completely on basketball. And if you have a good foundation in the game, you can do very well.
mom, my father figures, my brothers, my sisters, my aunts and uncles, etc. Throw in the teachers, throw in the pastors, even close friends. That was our circle.
People control it by disarming, just by quitting. So please help me understand that.
Guys, Eddie has another minute and a half on top of the 3 minutes he has left to respond to Brian.
Well, I look at it like this. I think we have a lot of immature people right now that's being led by a lot of different things. And unfortunately, Brian, we lived in an era where news was kind of controlled. And it could have been a negative thing as well because we weren't informed of a lot of things that were going on.
And gals and pals, remember, the only way to find out which matchup we have next Saturday night is the outro of this show. By then, we would have already bid adieu to Eddie, Ramon, and Stephen, guys and gals. But again, end of the outro tonight. You'll find out first sneak peek into next week's matchup. We have a lot of matchups. Round 2 is going to last all the way to the spring, early summer, but we whittle it down. We whittle it down, guys, until there's only one. And guys and gals, there's one person right now in the back, and I'm glad he's here with us tonight. He has become a fast friend. Our third participant tonight resonates with the masses as he relates to everyone, be it those that struggle or the suits and ties that live in mansions. Hard work defines this gentleman as he dominated the NBA before the birth of endless expansions. He's a dear friend who embodies great qualities such as loyalty, like Rocky played by Stallone, or Joe Pesci kicking it in Bayonne. He can take down any opponent like Elliot Ness bringing down Al Capone. Or Michael Douglas overcoming the advances of one Sharon Stone. That's because his instincts aren't basic. He'll move you. He'll move your mind, like Carrie, who was portrayed by Sissy Spacek. He was always the leader of his team, and if you notice a reoccurring theme, it's that this man would roll up his sleeves and work hard. Way harder than simply dream. The way he got it was done through hard work. It wasn't some parlor trick. He'll razzle and dazzle you with his energy. The man, guys and gals, was oh so slick. He'd out-hustle you on the court like Ralph Macchio in The Karate Kid. He could also outwise you like Mr. Miyagi by simply raising an eyelid. His knowledge and gifts are the best books that haven't been written. His charisma is something to behold, which will surely leave you all smitten. His heart greets the masses oh so pleasantly. He reminds us that hardships often prepare ordinary people for extraordinary destiny. Our glory may be fleeting, but obscurity, guys and gals, our obscurity is for never. This is why words such as can't or won't are his never ever. Are accidents choices, or are they simply nothing more than fate misnamed? These are the thought-provoking questions that he isn't ashamed to challenge, because conventional wisdom can always be framed, not solely due to what shadowy figures have proclaimed. His kind heart is the gardens, while his kind thoughts are the roots. His kind words are the blossoms, while his kind deeds are the fruits. His genuine nature is the sunshine that warms into life. He's a friend, an incredibly intelligent human being, and he's a huge part of this exclusive field. His passion is always on full display, as it's something that can never be concealed. So for the bevy of talent in this tournament, take notice tonight and take heed. His mind is ever so bright, and his heart is gold. He's always been there for those in need. He was royalty on the court as a Sacramento King. His excellence continued as a Phoenix Sun. Scoring, his leadership, and maturity are just some of the qualities that he would bring. As a supersonic, this man helped Seattle in pursuit of a ring. Game-winning, buzzer-beating moments in Houston and a championship in Greece were also his thing. I was in awe of his intellect and way of being from the very start. His shot is iconic as a Simpson on a skateboard named Bart. He is a Renaissance man and author, a motivational speaker, an NBA legend, a commentator, and a host. But he'll be the last to bring these incredible accomplishments up, because the last thing he will do is boast. One of the greatest NBA scorers of all time, let's not forget his win when it comes to helping hands. Helping single moms is yet another reason to cheer for him, both in person and in the stands. He's a friend and also one of the favorites to win this entire tournament in this star-studded field, but through it all, he's helped so many that through his act of kindness have undeniably prospered and healed. So let's take a beat and showcase our elation. I know we're all ready to give it up to a talented, humble human being and friend. Last name Johnson, first name Eddie. Welcome, my friend.
Oh, man, you killed me. You killed me. I like that intro.
Well, you deserve it, man. Helping hands, you help out the masses. Guys and gals, you don't mind if I say this, man? I cannot wait to be working with you really soon on that event that you got. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're doing so much for the masses. Eddie, again, calling NBA games, still doing this tournament because you're passionate about it. Eddie, I'll ask you the same thing I asked dear Stephen and Ramon. Are you here to win the entire thing, the whole shebang?
Well, I never showed up for a contest not ready. Now they look like they could be a problem. I'm afraid of a guy that's getting ready for a movie like Steven is, and he's trying to become a hippie so he can be on the screen. He's got to grow that beard out a little bit more. Maybe after I get done with you tonight, Steven, your beard will grow a little bit more.
I like it, guys. I love it. And Eddie, again, you and Brian Taylor in round one, along with Jim Brunzell. You and Jim advanced. Eddie, we have so many in this field, 131 Hall of Famers, Luminaries, Award winners. 2 will advance tonight. Our first elimination happens tonight as well. From this point on, every week there'll be an elimination. Eddie, my friend, I know you're here to win the whole thing, but what it would mean to win, is it for the 15 grand, the trip to Greece? You played in Greece, you're a champion there, but also the pride of winning a tournament like this that stands for something positive. Will that mean something to you?
Yeah, to be quite honest, I mean, obviously, you enjoy the fruits of your labor by winning, getting money and getting paid. But really what drives me is just winning. I don't care what it is. Checkers, hopscotch. Oh, yeah, I've done some hopscotch without a doubt.
I love it.
Just so I could win it, double Dutch, whatever it took. I'm a competitor, and that's what I love to do first and foremost. And I'm sure my 2 opponents tonight feel the same way.
It doesn't matter who it is. It could be a Hall of Famer from sports, an Olympian, and an Oscar winner. Guys, Eddie Johnson is a man who has such great command of the English language. So does Stephen. So does Ramon. Let me bring them all in, guys. Ramon, Stephen, Eddie Johnson on screen for the first time.
Good evening. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello.
Gentlemen. Be nice to me tonight now.
Hey, you were just dissing my beard, man.
No, you need to grow it a little bit more if you're gonna be a hippie.
I will say this mustache is definitely an intimidation factor. So y'all better watch out.
And gals, again, another incredibly talented man here. All 3 guys. I'm going to start out with topic number 1. Between topics 1 and 2. A good chance to kind of, take a sip of some water for the competitors. All of your voices. I know you've been looking forward to this match for a while. 2 million viewership on YouTube alone. We're also on 53 other pages on Facebook. So we're doing great because you guys are inviting us to your living room. But after topic number 1, I will play some of your videos, guys. And Eddie and Stephen and Ramon can hear and see how enthusiastic you were about this match. Then we'll segue to topic 2, and we'll find out who wins. The top 2 vote getters, cumulatively speaking, will advance to round number 3 of this tournament. Here is topic number 1. I'll set it up. Long-term success is something a lot of us aspire for, but how about long-term success in the face of government? Government has always had something to gain, either in gaining more police powers by unnecessary violent conflict with a movement, as was done in Waco, or in gaining the loyalty of the masses and turning a profit financially, as was done by co-opting the civil rights movement, and in doing so erasing public awareness of the authorship of Jim Crow laws in the Southern system. When we think of infiltrating and destroying a movement, we assume that means attempting to bring about the immediate end of the movement. This might be a naive perception of the actual mechanics of infiltrating and destroying a popular political movement of the people. However, in a capitalist world, is there any other tactic aside from simply buying a movement effective, by the way, in ending it, if done so? So, guys, I'm going to start things off with Mr. Eddie Johnson. And then, guys, we're going to find out who goes right afterwards. Stephen and Ramon can rebut Eddie as many as 2 times if they'd like. While Eddie's speaking, index finger, I'll pop in. I'll make it official. Eddie, is it possible for an independent movement, social or political, to thrive in 2024 and beyond against the face of our government, even if our government has a great deal of contempt for said movement's ideologies? No clock. Take as long as you'd like. The floor is yours whenever you are ready. Good sir.
Yeah, a tremendous question, though, right? It's a question that obviously makes you think, but immediately my mind just goes to yes. Of course it can survive. And we've seen examples. Matter of fact, guys, we can go all the way back to the 1900s, okay, when the Socialist Party first started. Basically, 40 years, it grew into 113,000 members. Again, that's going against capitalism. That's going against everything. And the key thing is they had to spread, right? No technology back then. It was newspapers. 380 newspapers evolved from that, 353 towns. So the socialist movement did have a way to offset government. What about the NAACP? From 1909 to 1977, it grew to 80 branches, okay, and over 300,000 members. And then the National Women's Party, which I love, it's because in 1913 to 1922, they actually changed the Constitution to allow women to vote. So my answer to that is yes, you can offset the government and have a movement, but it's not going to be easy. And I can just list 8 things to tell you why it won't be easy. The first is, history shows us, right, that governments, especially those with authoritarian tendencies, or highly centralized power, what do they do immediately when you try? They suppress it, right? And that's the problem, right? But i.e. the civil rights movement was able to make it through, but it was being suppressed as it went along in our country, right? So movements today, whether social or political, differ fundamentally, right, from the past. And that's the key, right? Because the connectivity of the world right now through internet, social media, decentralized forms of communication allows an independent movement by bypassing what? The traditional state-controlled media channels. And that's what allows movements to make a move here and get it done. But here's the problem.
The
floor is Stevens.
Go ahead.
Just a question, Eddie. In terms of the NAACP, do you think one of the most important things is the leader as opposed to the idea of the movement itself? Because you're not going to get anybody like Dr. King in generation. There's going to be no leader like that shows up. Do you think it's the leader or do you think it's the idea?
Stephen, I think it's the idea because, right now what we're seeing in movements right now is we're seeing a decentralized leadership, right? So we're not seeing just one leader. We're seeing a multitude of leaders. Why? Well, the government's gotten so creative and so good is that they've been able to what? Put their foot on it right away. And all of a sudden you're lost with leadership for a while. Now, the challenge is and the danger is sometimes you won't have consistency when you don't have that hierarchical, leadership right there, right? Now you got to move around, but it's also hard to really squelch it because when you have that decentralized leadership, then you're able to maybe just move quickly and don't stop. And that was key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, as I continue, the government, as I said, they have adapted.
Ramon, the floor is yours, Ramon.
Go ahead, Ramon.
So do you also think that maybe social media, like influencing future leaders and like longevity to not quit, I think that's also a big factor in these sorts of movements?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, when I talk about the first three, right, that made it and did it quickly without what? A lot of great communication, underground meetings, all of that, right? Horse and buggy, all of that. They had to spread the word. Whereas with social networking right now, it's extremely fast. But Ramon, on the other side of it, guess who else can go fast? The government. And they can employ actors and different things in there to dispute it. Well, we're seeing that now, right? We're seeing that every day. We pick up Twitter or we pick up Instagram where you have people pushing stuff down based on something somebody said. So, yeah, obviously that's why we have an opportunity to move now is because of, obviously, social networking and the ability to galvanize millions of people based on what you said. Yeah. Did that answer your question? Yeah, I guess it did.
Yes, it does.
So government right now, what they've done, they've adopted sophisticated ways to squelch movements, right? So as I said, yes, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, they've rapidly allowed activists to create viral movements, right? And mobilizing in what, guys? Large numbers, right? So able to mobilize in large numbers has been huge for them. And so now that's why I say yes to a movement. Of course it is. But our governments, as I said, they're so creative and they're so good. Now, Stephen, you brought up the leadership part, right? And you're correct. I truly believe movements have worked now lately because it's no one leader. It's no one leader. And I think that's a strategy now that they have employed around the world in regards to establishing movements. And then also the way it spreads and the way I believe that movements will work is the globalization, right? Remember, Black Lives Matter. We were seeing people over in Europe. We were seeing people over in Asia. We were seeing people everywhere grab on to the Black Lives Matter. Back in the day, that would have never happened, right? Why? Because we weren't able to globalize. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have the ability to reach millions of people with a tweet. Now we're able to do it and it can worry. But, the worry is the responses that we're going to get from government. And that's why I say it's not easy. Because what's the responses we're going to get? We're going to get maybe two strategies, right? One is going to be repression, right? So now they're going to have surveillance, maybe imprisonment, okay? Or co-optation, I hope I pronounced that right, is that now they're going to offer deals. They're going to feel like they gave you something. And so the government is going to try two different ways, not to maybe be aggressive and squelch it, but just give you a carrot and make you feel good about it. And so that is the challenge of them, right? And then 7, I got 8 parts here and I'll be done, guys. 7 is the cultural shifts, okay? The cultural shifts in society support. Okay, so movement can shift, right, because of societal attitudes. And I think that's a problem, right? And that's a problem that the government will actually try to work on because they know that, right? It becomes much harder, though, for government to support its entirety, right? So an example is LGBTQ, right? So that rights movement moved fast. Why? Because they were able to tap in to a societal aspect of people that was shifting the norms around what? Sexuality. And so that's why the government has had a hard time now, because these movements have been able to work their way around it, right? And then economics is the last one, right? So because it's so significant right now, it's inequality, you're going to have a lot of that coming. And now the thriving that we're going to see in the coming years, and we always do, but it's going to be an inequity with income. And that's going to create what? Disparities. And the government will seize on that as well. So ultimately, I'll say, yes, movements will work in 2024. But again, it's not as easy as you would think, and especially not as easy as back in the 1900s, because now the government is just as powerful and they can play games as well. And again, I'll leave it with this. We see it right now in our political atmosphere. We're seeing it every day. So that's it.
Appreciate that, guys and gals and pals. I hope you appreciate Eddie Johnson, Stephen, and Ramon again on a Saturday night. They're here live. We do it live every Saturday, 211 consecutive episodes as of tonight, not missing a beat. But guys, we don't want you to miss a beat, because once Stephen and Ramon finish, of course, their presentation for this topic, you'll be voting in the comment section. Let us know who resonated most with you and why. We're already reading your topics, your comments to this topic and to Eddie's presentation as well. Thank you, guys. Again, Eddie went in very deep, and Stephen and Ramon, guys and gals, we appreciate their attendance, their questions. We're all here. We're all learning. We're staying present. And guys, these conversations do matter. The next individual here, guys and gals, in the form of a great luminary and friend that will be answering this very question, is one Stephen Tobolowsky. Stephen, is it possible for an independent movement, social or political, to thrive in 2024 and beyond against the face of our government, even if our government has a great deal of contempt for said movement's ideologies? Eddie and Ramon can rebut if they'd like as well. Stephen, my good friend, the floor is yours.
Eddie, I'm with you. The fast answer is yes. Not a problem, not an issue. But be careful. Be very careful. Avi, the one problem I have with this question is that the way you talk about the government, you assume that it is a thing, the government. But the government is a mess. The government is a million different things. The government's very interesting. It's got no money except what they tax from us. And not only that, they could tax our children and grandchildren in the future. People aren't even born, they could tax them. The government can support an idea, as Eddie said, an idea that's negative if they want to create that kind of fire. I'm very lucky in that I was at a very strange place at a very strange time. My Aunt Hermine, she was a state senator of Texas, and she wrote and passed the Equal Rights Amendment for the state of Texas. Now, let me tell you, Texas government did not want it. They fired shotguns at her house. They threatened her life. I think the newspaper called her the whore from San Antonio. She went through all sorts of hell, but she passed the Equal Rights Amendment for the state of Texas. And this was back in the 60s. I didn't even know this about Hermine. All I knew was she was my advocate when I wanted to play the piano. And she told mom and dad, you got to get him a piano because he's telling stories with the keyboard. When Hermine was dying, she was dying of cancer. I said, I have to ask you the question. How did you do it? How did you do it for the state of Texas? How did you do it? And she said, Stephen, the issue is about self-interest. It goes back to what Eddie was saying. The government will do whatever it does if it's in their self-interest. And people will agree. What I did for the Equal Rights Amendment, I went to, there's a picture of her. That's her as a little girl. Oh my God. That's Hermine as a little girl. Oh God, that's amazing. What she did is she went to her husband, Uncle Jaime, who was my employer when I was 13 and 14 and 15 years of age. And she said, you know, it's a shame if anything were to happen to you, we would lose the house and you'd end up in a state hospital. And he goes, what are you talking about? And she says, well, the state of Texas doesn't give a woman the right to a husband's finances or bank account. If anything happened to you, we lose the house, you go to a state hospital, and we're broke. And he says, well, we have to do something about that. Self-interest from Jaime. And he got behind her, and she made the case that it's in the interest of men for them to give women equal rights. Now, here's the trick question. After all this happened, after Hermine was so successful, they called her to Washington to work on the Equal Rights Amendment for the United States. This is in the early 70s. And I don't know if you guys remember that, but the result was it did not pass. Now, here is the trivia question. And I got the answer from Hermine. Why did the Equal Rights Amendment, I think it was 1972, the National Equal Rights Amendment, not pass? Do you guys have any idea? Think about it. 1972. Because it was voted down not by men, but by women. Because the Vietnam War was raging, and women didn't want their daughters to be drafted and sent to Vietnam. Self-interest. It has nothing to do, I totally agree with Eddie, it has nothing to do with right or wrong. It has to do with self-interest. And if the government, which is really just a parasite, looking for money and power, if the government could find some self-interest in what you are selling, then you're going to have a deal. But be careful. Be careful when you get in bed with the government. You have to be a warrior like my Aunt Hermine. You have to be able to take people shooting at your house and calling you names or whatever for you to make a mark in this world sometimes. Yes, sir.
Mr. Eddie Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, that's tremendous, Stephen. And I guess my question to you is, I'd like to know your thoughts on what has to change within our government to get back on track.
You know, I'm feeling a little fateful now because I feel like we have the Hydra with 100,000 heads, and so many parts of the government are even at war within themselves. I think if we go back, God, dare I say, because I don't want to I was going to say if we go back to the Constitution, but if you go back to the Constitution, then you got some problems there too. You know, you have to go to the premise that made our country. Here's something. Okay. This is the weirdest detail I ever heard of in my life. Our country is founded upon some words, not by our founding fathers, but a philosopher named Epictetus. Epictetus was a Greek slave. And I think he lived, you have to look it up on IMDb. And IMDb, look, I'm an actor. What a moron I am. No, you have to look him up. It's not on IMDb. You're not going to find it. He's not an actor. No, but Epictetus was a philosopher, and he was crippled, and he came up with all sorts of things, and he was so brilliant. Usually when countries come in and take over, they would, if the Romans came in, they take over whatever the Greeks did or whatever, but not Epictetus, because his teachings were so brilliant. One of Epictetus's lines from his a treatise is, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with inalienable rights." Epictetus wrote that in like 6 AD. And because he was so brilliant, when countries took over, they would translate Epictetus into their native language. And so centuries later, people like Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson knew the teachings of Epictetus. And our country is founded on a lot of what that man said. And what I would say, Eddie, is look back at some of the things he said, because Epictetus had respect for all men, equality between all men, value your life and the life of the stranger, all of that. And the other thing we stole from Epictetus, and this kills me, is God grant me the power to, the beginning of the Alcoholics Anonymous thing. God give me the power to, whatever that sentence is, that whole phrase for Alcoholics Anonymous was created. That was from Epictetus too. So the United States of America and Alcoholics Anonymous. So I'm saying, let's go back to valuing each human life. Give everybody their due. Honor your fellow man, woman, child. Give them respect that's due them. And I think you can't go wrong if you do that.
So well said. And he was born into slavery as well. One of his quotes, I remember, I didn't teach too much about him, but he said, "If we wish for nothing but what God wills, we shall truly be free." And that still resonates with us today. There's no doubt about that. Guys and gals, before I kick it over to Ramon, it's funny, you brought up Aunt Hermine. You'd be playing the piano. Others would grumble and leave the room. She would sit closer, and at the end, she'd ask you what you were playing. That must have meant the world to you.
She and Uncle Jaime had the greatest gift in the world, and that was a grand piano. I'd never seen such a thing. I didn't know how to play piano. I didn't know anything. I come in there from Sunday school.
Right.
We all go over to Hermine's house. I'd sit down there and sit at that piano and just boom, 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 and I'd hear the princess screaming, and I go up to the treble keys, dee, 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 and then the giants are going, brr, 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 and all the grown-ups were so angry because they wanted to watch the damn game.
And she'd say, "That's so wonderful, Stevie."
Yes, and she went up to my mother and father, says, you got to get Stevie piano lessons in a piano.
That's incredible.
Because he's telling stories with the piano. And I always value Hermine for that. She changed my life.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely honoring her. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And guys, Mr. Eddie Johnson again. Eddie, you grew up with, you were one of 7 siblings raised by your mother, Doris. She worked really hard. She instilled an honesty in you. And I know how much you give it back to a lot of mothers out there, but also to humanity. And I just want to let you know that you epitomize what I stand for, which is reminding people that we should never judge someone based on the surface. Yes, NBA legend. Yes, a man who can play on the hardwood. But there's so many other layers we can peel back if we make the effort to get to know others. You epitomize that, good sir. So again,
thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
100%. You and Mr. Stephen Tobolowsky. Now, Ramon, I know we're interested in hearing what Ramon has to say. So guys and gals, in the comment section, again, Ramon, after Ramon makes his point, the judges will come in. They'll vote. Their votes are worth 5 each. Yours are worth 1 in the comment section. We'll play some of your videos for Stephen, for Ramon, and for Eddie. And then topic number 2, guys and gals, Ramon, rebuttals will be allowed as well. Ramon, the floor is yours whenever you are ready to go, good sir.
Okie dokie. So I took a look at this question, and it's a very, very interesting question.
Mhm.
And what I want to focus on is the word thrive. Can these independent movements thrive? Meaning, and the definition that I'm going to focus on is to grow, develop, and progress. Yes,
There you go.
these independent movements can thrive. I think that's in no small parts due to social media. I think social media gives people the power to take a small issue and make that into a global issue with millions of people to support you. And we're in a time right now where institutions and government are not satisfying people right now, which has led to a large rise in these sorts of movements in the 21st century. And like a couple that I do want to highlight, Black Lives Matter. Something like this is social media has raised awareness of the mistreatment, the systematic racism, and just the brutality of people of color from the police. And these issues have been going on for a long time, but social media is a large part in why it's so widespread now, and why it's such an issue that now everyone knows about and everyone can support. And it cultivated a mass number of people to inspire them to march. Another one that I want to take a look at is the Me Too movement. Hashtag Me Too movement. This movement that has given women and just people that have gone through sexual assault in the workplace and sexual harassment, it has given them the power to speak up and come together with others that have gone through the same journey, have gone through the same story. And it's given them the power to say, I'm not afraid to say this now. And it's also given people accountability for what they have done in the past. You cannot hide anything that you do on social media. That is the double-edged sword. And that is the good part of what social media has done. And just another one that I want to take a look at, and like something like, movements like the LGBTQ plus marches, the little victories like that, being able to have same-sex marriage legalized in 2015, victories like that is just one step in how social media and the internet can influence so many people to say that I can do this. Who's to say that these victories don't, make the next Gandhi, makes the next Martin Luther King, someone who looks at these and goes, okay, well, if they can do it, why can't I? And also, we are also in a world where younger people are educating themselves more. The internet has brought so many resources and ways for younger people to find the information themselves and do their own research and not have to solely rely on the news, which is very manipulative and can be a source of spreading misinformation. And they can make their own decisions and they can make their own choices on who they can support. And all of this to say that if the government does keep on suppressing people, it keeps on giving people dissatisfaction in what they're looking for. As long as we have that First Amendment, as long as we have social media, and as long as we have the people who are creative enough to use social media for good, to give people the power to speak up and give people the power to go out and march, because it is at home source, but there's still that, grassroots feeling of people going out and actually marching. And it's a fantastic source.
Stephen?
And that's what I believe.
Ramon, I have a question too. I agree with just about everything you're saying, but there's another aspect too. What happens it's the same culture that began cancel culture. You know, where you get canceled. If the outlet is the internet, if somebody wants to get you, they can get you by cutting you, by doing that. How do we protect ourselves against that kind of abuse of the system? Of being canceled when you really didn't do anything. If they know that there's a hot button issue of like, oh, Me Too movement, or the racial issue, if they could just say, oh, someone's a racist, someone touched me, you know, and it's not true. What remedies do you have?
Now, that really is a good question. And really the only thing that I can say for that is just the fact of people are innocent until proven guilty. Listening to their stories and actually doing your own research on what happened, and not just taking the side of the victim or, you know, the side of the person being blamed. It's all about not believing everything that you see on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what I'd say for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ramon. Appreciate you. Guys and gals, Eddie Johnson.
Good job, Ramon.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
One of the brightest minds we have here, guys. Ramon, there's no doubt about that. You know, there was something interesting that Eisenhower said before January of 1961 when he first talked about the military-industrial complex. He said that there was a time many generations ago when the goal was to invest in infrastructure, to build the country, to invest in schools, to build the people. We're not doing that. We're just fighting each other. And if we're preoccupied with this fight and with crazy divisions within our country, we'll never be able to focus on the energy, the resources that we need to fix this whole thing, as Stephen and Eddie and Ramon said. We're going to slide through this for another couple of generations because the country overall is still very wealthy. And we have this residual wealth. We've exploited everybody around the world for hundreds of years and sucked everything into the United States, and that stuff is getting sucked out. Resources are getting concentrated in very few hands. It doesn't look good at all. I'm sorry to say that, guys and gals and pals, but we have to address these things. That's why, again, on this independent new network that many people have tried to somehow bring into their fold, it's going to take a mighty offer for that to happen, guys. We're doing this here because we want to make sure we have a voice, and we want to make sure that you guys and gals and pals have a voice where we could talk about topics that need to be spoken about without the concern of censorship, without the concern of being canceled anywhere. We're going to do it in a tactful, tasteful, very professional manner, but we're going to dig deep. And as you saw, Eddie, Stephen, Ramon did just that. They dug deep. So now our judges will dig deep. Let's bring them in. Giselle, I know you're also going to be tallying as well. Let's bring you in and see who you vote for and why.
Good evening. This is such a great topic to begin the night. I am so happy we had this. The spirit of competitive camaraderie is alive and well here tonight. I love the way you all used your rebuttals to ask questions and further the discussion rather than be a direct assault on what the other person is saying, because we are all in agreement here that, yes, these movements can happen and can thrive in 2024. Ramon, great job. Loved that you went in to the positive effects of social media a little bit deeper than the other two. Mr. Tobolowsky, great to see you again. Welcome back. Your personalization of how you got there and your story, very touching. And your point about self-interest, I think is spot on. And so it's figuring out how to get that self-interest in there in order to make those movements thrive and realize that it's not for the benefit of just one group, but for the benefit of society overall. And Mr. Johnson, welcome back to you as well. And I really appreciate how you gave historical context leading up to this. You gave historical examples as well as more recent examples, and your 8 points as to what they all are about. Really, really well thought out, really great. My vote is going to you for this first topic, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Giselle, guys and gals. Ramon, Eddie, Stephen, they're locked in, and we appreciate that. Hey, they might be rebutting a judge. You never know. Anything could happen here on TKN. Giselle, if you can.
No. We're gentlemen. We're not going to do that.
Of course.
And guys and gals
It's
and
happened
gals.
before. It's happened before.
I think it happened with Todd Bridges, right?
It did.
Guys.
We'll match about soccer.
In the comment section, guys and gals, you can start voting now because we're going to tally them. Now, Giselle, I'll pull them up as our next judge, of course, is rendering his decision. I will pull them up and you can tally them in the back. Thank you again. Mr. Jamie Sparling, come on down. Good, sir.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for my Saturday lesson. I really enjoyed everything that came out. And in the midst of the camaraderie, there was still a little bit of competitive action. And I really enjoyed watching each and every one of you. Mr. Johnson, 8 different parts to the argument. Okay, that set the stage right there and completely got me. I thought, oh my gosh, he's at 7 and you already had me. And then you went into 8. Outstanding, well done. Ramon, I have 3 things written down, and one is just thrive with a bunch of exclamation points. You hit me in the feels, and I appreciate everything you had to say, especially good and bad regarding social media. And then at the top of my list, I just have Aunt Hermine, and just talking about your aunt and that personal tie there is what made me decide that I wanted to vote for you, just because that's what resonated with me. But each one of you did amazing, and I learned a lot, and I appreciate being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Mr.
Thank you, Jamie.
Mr. Sparling, you too grew up in Illinois, right?
Yes, sir. Springfield, Illinois.
Springfield, okay.
Yeah, I like them digs you got now. That looks good. That background.
Well, that's all a vast illusion, Mr. Johnson. That's not how we roll in Wisconsin, but it looks good for the moment, sir. Thank you.
Well, so do you, Jamie. You look good for the moment and beyond. Thank you, and guys and gals and pals, thank you for your votes. I'm going to tally them right now live. Pull them all up so Eddie, Ramon, and Stephen could see, of course. We have a lot of integrity here, no chicanery. But here, let's pull up all the votes. We have Chad. What a tough vote. But when it comes down to it, I have to vote for Eddie. He resonated the most with me. Remember, top 2 vote getters move on to round number 3. Okay, we do have a vote coming in from Allison. What Ramon said really spoke to me. I'm voting for Ramon. Gotcha. Okay. Shirley votes for Eddie. Thank you, Shirley Eaton. Appreciate your vote. Bringing in some more votes, guys. We're doing this live. That's how we thrive. Miranda says, I'm voting for Steven, but great job to all. Guys and gals, again, on a Saturday night, we could learn and we can. It's the 3 L's, really, right? We learn, we laugh, we listen, and then we love. Julio, secondly, I'm going with Ramon, whose points in highlighting our current times to his answer was pretty spot on, but God, him and Eddie were so close. I think Ramon squeezed out this topic. Ramon gets a vote. Will E. Wilson, thank you, votes for Eddie Johnson. Phil votes for Steven. Okay, Giselle, thank you for tallying all this in real time. Consult KP now votes for Eddie Johnson. Okay. Might have to consult with you later to realize how you voted. I wouldn't be able to. I got the best seat in the house here. Guys and gals, I would not be able to do what you guys are doing. Let's see right now. Joy votes for Eddie. Okay, we appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay. Christopher, love all the arguments by these 3 men, but the story that really hit me made me think was Ramon, so he gets my vote. Okay. We have another topic, so do not go anywhere. Julio says, I'm definitely going Steven first, but you voted for Ramon, so I don't know who you're voting for. Giselle, let's take that vote away right now. Julio, let us know definitively who you're voting for. I appreciate that. Michael says, I am voting for Eddie. Thank you, Michael Gross. Okay. Larry votes for Eddie. He concurs and also votes for Eddie. A lot of votes coming in. I cannot count all of them, guys and gals and pals, because the TKN Celebrity Tournament should end sometime in 2034, we hope. So let's see what happens as I do this in real time. The bad pun votes for Eddie. Tell me about those bad puns later. Ernestine Jackson votes for Eddie all the way. Alexander votes for Steven. Appreciate that. Johnny votes for Steven, and Howard concurs and also votes for Steven. 2 straight for Steven. Guys, a lot on the line over here. 15 grand might inflate before it's all said and done, but the trip for 2 to Greece is 5 days, 5 nights. First ever Mr. and Mrs. or Miss TKN, that trophy, and the pride of winning it all. Guys and gals, this is the largest celebrity tournament of all time, and we're proud of that because we don't just celebrate celebrities, we celebrate what they stand for, and we celebrate humanity. Guys, topic number 2 is before us, but first, I want Eddie, Stephen, and Ramon to please take the time to enjoy this from some of our viewers, our cast members, who have been looking forward to this match really all week. Let's play this right about now.
Hi everyone, this is Jacques Rougeau. I just wanted to wish good luck to Stephen, Eddie, and Ramon for tonight's big debate. I gotta say I got a little weakness for Stephen because of Groundhog Day, but good luck to all of you.
Why am I looking forward to tomorrow's show? Well, you have people that are going to be very fantastically. Stephen Tobolowsky is a Tony Award nominee, then you got NBA legend Eddie Johnson, and then you have an engine member like Ramon. And to me, it gets me excited because I'm ready to see people like this who are so amazing and so well-learned to give their heart. And I can't wait to see that.
So what am I looking for in tomorrow night's matchup, number 3 of round 2? First, I'm looking for my man Ramon to come in and shock the world against these heavy hitters. Want to see him go through. Eddie, I know he's going to come in rapid fire. He's going to have a lot of facts. That's going to be tough to overcome. The other thing is Stephen Tobolowsky. He's a master storyteller. And no matter what his topic is, I know he's going to have a personal story that relates to it. And it's going to be something awesome to hear. So all kinds of stuff to look forward to tomorrow night.
Okay, let's talk Saturday nights. There's nothing more exciting, more thrilling, nothing that pumps me up more than the green room on a Saturday night. We have the TKN Celebrity Grand Tournament going on. We have a bevy of well-vaulted luminaries coming in. We have our very own green room members, our engine members, and every Saturday night we get to see amazing, passionate, deep conversations. The topics that Avi Klein comes up with are just remarkable. Brings out the best in everybody. The conversations are golden, baby. And who knows who's going to drop in. Surprise guests dropping in all over the place. And this latest segment on recovery, holy moly, hits home. It really touches me. Overall, every, did I say every? Every Saturday night on the green room is something new, something exciting, and surprise after surprise. No better place to be than in the green room on a Saturday night. Mark my words.
Looking forward to tomorrow's match. First of all, it's Ramon versus Eddie Johnson and Tobolowsky. Man, it's going to be a massive match. I'm really looking forward to it because I want to show people what we are capable of. We're the engine, and we're here to drive over the competition. Seriously, it's going to be a huge match. Tune in. Love you all.
I'm super excited for this Saturday's matchup. Stephen Tobolowsky, Eddie Johnson, our own Ramon Solomon, 3 top contenders, round 2. This night is going to be awesome because it also marks the very first night that somebody will be going home. So, mark my words, it's going to be an awesome night of entertainment. And of course, we're going to have the amazing Avi's amazing topics. Let's see what they're going to be about. And everybody, this is going to be an awesome night, and I cannot wait for it.
Guys, tomorrow night, how y'all doing? Damas y caballeros, tomorrow night, we got Tony Award nominee Stephen Tobolowsky, NBA legend Eddie Johnson, an up-and-coming talent, Ramon. All three of these gentlemen are going to be bringing their heart, their mind, and their souls to the second round of the Celebrity Tournament. I don't know about you guys, but I am excited. Also excited because tomorrow night, we're going to have our first ever elimination. Our first ever elimination in round 2. I mean, guys, if that doesn't say stakes, I don't know what is. Think about that. Elimination. That's it. You're done. Eliminated. Bye-bye. No more chances. Unless you have a green ticket. But I don't think any of those individuals do. So, I can't wait to see what they're going to bring to the table. It is going to be amazing tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, TKN YouTube channel. It's going to be fuego. Dale fuego. Bring some fire, baby.
Hey everybody, this is your favorite Green Roomer, Peaceful Pete. Tonight's a huge matchup. You have TV film legend Stephen Tobolowsky. You have NBA legend Eddie Johnson taking on supposed underdog Ramon, a viewer, an engine member. And what this means to me, folks, tonight is that tonight is the first night that someone is actually going to get eliminated tonight out of the tournament. Someone's going to leave mad, and that's something you have to think about deeply, because this is the first time in the tournament this is happening, where there's no buys, there's no ties, nothing. This is what it comes down to, folks. The pride and the prize. And this is why being in round number 3 feels so much better, because I don't have to experience the elimination tonight, but I will be watching it, folks. See you all there tonight.
Hi everyone, Miranda here. I am so excited for tonight's matchup between NBA legend Eddie Johnson, Stephen Tobolowsky, who is a film and TV great, and our own engine member, Ramon. These are some heavy hitters tonight, and Ramon's going to have to bring it against Stephen Tobolowsky and Eddie Johnson. I have seen them in action, and they are phenomenal. I know the topics are going to be great. I am so excited to hear what Avi has cooked up, and it's going to be a good matchup. Ramon, you've got to bring it, okay? Let's go!
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Icon, aka JW, for all the TKA fans. Another night for the Celebrity Tournament. Round 2 is off in full effect. Tonight, who's going to come out on top in our triple threat elimination matchup? Will it be Stephen Tobolowsky using all his award-winning knowledge to the test? Will it be Big Rome, who's going to use all of his comedic tools and all of his acting skills to the test to try to win those debates? Or will it be Eddie Johnson coming through with a swish for you in the final round, in the final quarter? Who's going to win? We don't know, but we're excited to see it tonight at the TKN Celebrity Tournament. Let's get it poppin'. I'll see you then.
What's going on, everybody out there in TKN lands? Rock Richards, and I'm here to make a few predictions about tonight's matchups. But oh no, see, I'm not going to predict who's going to win, because that's quite unpredictable. But what I will predict is that tonight, each one of the celebrities of their respective field, each one of the green roomers is going to captivate you and touch you in a way that quite literally has nothing to do with the reason why they're known, because that's just the way it goes on the TKN network. So I want you to sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and have fun. Peace and love.
TKN fam, I'm so excited about round 2 tonight. Single elimination, 2 out of 3 advance. We got Stephen Tobolowsky, who, man, he can pull out the mind, but can he pull out your hearts for tonight's win? Eddie Johnson, NBA legend. He's bringing facts and charisma, but can he charm himself for this victory tonight? And of course, last but not least, engine member Ramon. He's got a David and Goliath situation, more like David and 2 Goliath situation. Can he throw one of those stones to hit and knock out one of his opponents to advance? Honestly, we'll see. My predictions, definitely got to go Eddie Johnson #1. And honestly, it would be amazing to see an engine member take it. So I got faith. Ramon, bring it tonight.
Hello, Green Room Nation. And here we are in round 2. Took a long time to get here, but we are here and we have an amazing match for tonight. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. We have Tony Award nominee Stephen Tobolowsky, NBA legend Eddie Johnson, and Engine member Ramon. I don't know. I mean, we are here now, and this is going to be the first elimination of round 2. 2 out of 3 move on to round 3. Who's it going to be? Oh, that's a good question. I mean, if round 1 proved anything to us, it's that this game could be anyone's. The resolve, the passion, the stories. I don't know. I think I'm going to say my initial prediction might have to be with Mr. Stephen Tobolowsky. As a storyteller, I have to say he knows how to tell a good story. However, Eddie Johnson has had a lot of experience in the spotlight and quite some stories to tell as well. However, we can't always rule out someone just because they're not a celebrity, so I must say that Engine member Ramon might surprise us. Who do you think is going to come out on top tonight? My top 2, I will say for now, are Stephen and Eddie, but we shall see. Will there be a surprise, an upset? Stay tuned. I know I'm excited. Are you?
Thank our viewers. Guys, what are your thoughts? I mean, a reaction, listening to the viewers, the fans, some of the cast members, and their thoughts. What are your thoughts?
Well, listen, I gotta say, you guys are definitely some heavy hitters. Like, I'm coming out the box with everything that I got. And seeing how the results have gone this round, listen, I know I'm at the bottom, but
Ramon, out of 131 people in this tournament, out of 131, you're one of only 3 people that won a chance from commenting as a viewer to be here. You had to go through your own mini tournament just to get here. Only 3 people have done that. You, my friend, are bringing a lot to the table. I could tell by Eddie and Steven's nonverbals. They're happy to be here with you. I don't want to speak for them. But, man, you're here. You belong. There's no doubt about that. Steven and Eddie, you guys are used to getting, getting applauded for your work from your fans. Does it feel nice to receive some of that here on this platform?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, look, as long as I'm breathing, if somebody's going to say something nice about me, then I'm happy. I don't care who they are. It's just, that's the great part about maybe doing the right thing, right? And putting yourself in position. And no, I mean, I'm watching every person talk, and I talk for a living, obviously, but I love when people talk about me and I can just shut up and just watch.
I just get excited when I'm in the arena,
right?
And I hear Ramon and I hear Eddie, and I just go like this, and it's a great question that you asked a good question there, Avi. That like it's everybody. I don't know if there's a real answer to it, but it's got everybody going, and I'd like to get going. I like the arena, and I like the opportunity to see what answers come out of these questions.
Absolutely. And you guys definitely are making people think. That is what it's all about, guys. Let's put our thinking caps on and move on to our final topic. Topic number 2. Eddie, you play a lot of golf, right?
Yes, that's an understatement.
So I recently, a couple months ago, I found out that the object of golf is to play the least amount of golf.
Really?
Yeah. That's
maybe I need to try that out because that's not what I do.
I mean, isn't that how you win the game? You got to play the least amount to win.
Maybe I need to try that because I've been really bad lately. Yeah.
My gosh. And you guys both Eddie and Steven, you guys both travel a lot, don't you?
Yeah. Especially lately, there isn't a lot of work in LA, so I end up traveling all over the country and the world, like shooting stuff.
Do you guys have your go-to suitcases or luggages? Your go-tos, the ones you always use?
I mean, I pack so much, it's ridiculous. And the season's getting ready to start. And traveling with the Phoenix Suns, I broadcast for them. And that's why I was a little late tonight. I apologize, guys.
Of course.
Our buses were stuck in front of the hotel just to get in here. We're playing the Denver Nuggets tomorrow. And so I tried my best to get up here. I was like Superman trying to.
No,
get
you
up
were,
here.
and I was saying that actually before you got on here. The guys, Eddie Johnson, they don't want to postpone this date, even though again an NBA game came a calling. That's what this man does. Again, showed up here, and we appreciate that. But again, you guys travel a ton. But, you know, we all make mistakes. So this is the screenwriter in me. I want to set a scenario for you really, really quickly in about 30 seconds or less. This must have happened before. I'm sure it did. I'm going to ask Stephen and Eddie, who travel a lot. Have you ever tried to pick up a suitcase you thought was full, but it wasn't? And then you go, man, for a second you feel really strong because it's empty. Has it ever happened to you?
I picked up a suitcase and almost fell backwards because I thought it was going to. I overreact. You know,
and it was empty.
It was empty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Empty.
I think I can start a company though and lift in the bag and tell you if it's 50 pounds or less.
By the way, nobody ever did that better, and I saw it twice in his films, than the late Don Knotts. He was incredible. 2 different gags and scenes where, again, he lifts up a suitcase. He thought it was full. It wasn't, and he did just what Stephen described, just a pratfall and fell backwards. I miss those days of comedy, guys. Physical comedy at its best. But, guys, here's what we do and what we give you all the time because we want to give you our best. We delve deeply into topics that matter. And, again, do not thank me. Thank Eddie, Stephen, and Ramon. They did their research. They're here live on a Saturday night, and they're bringing it and giving it their all for the sake of this tournament. So with that, topic number 2, setting goals. Because the purpose of setting goals is to win the game, and the purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. Which can be more important? If you think in terms of results, you might be focused on adjusting your systems to see the desired result. But no matter how good you are at focusing on things that matter, or developing habits, or even leveraging your skills that you're good at, if 90% of your time is dealt with negative people, you'll never be happy. You'll never achieve that progress or the change that you're aiming for. After all, how we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. We're going to rotate this out now and start backwards, guys. Right now, Ramon is going to tackle this first topic. It's the same question that I have for Ramon, as well as Eddie and Stephen. If Eddie and Stephen choose to rebut, they can do so with the old index finger. Ramon, please name a time in your life where you felt the need to let go of someone or something in order to achieve a particular goal. The floor is yours. Whenever you're ready, good sir.
Okay, so as I've grown through my life, I'm very much still learning, learning about who I am, learning about what I like myself. And I have learned that the 3 things that are the most important to me are my friends, my family, and just my inner peace. And it was about 2020. I was talking to some of my friends. We were all on a group call together. And there was another friend that I had, not really going to name any names, but she was going through like some tough times, just a lot of things going on in the home life. And she decided to, when we were talking, she let us know that she was going through a gender change. And we were all in support for her. We made sure that she knew that this was her choice. Her friends support her. And we made sure that she knew, she understood all of the risks and everything. And we knew that, okay, this is what she wanted to do. No problem. And I'm not really one to get into like confrontations with people. I don't really like it. It's not my style. It's not the way I do things. And there was one friend who wasn't all for it, and it was mostly for religious reasons. And I will preface this again by like saying like, I'm not one to really be against anyone in their religious beliefs. That's you. That's your life. Live your life. As long as you're not hurting anybody, and as long as you're not putting anybody down, live your life. And unfortunately, this friend that wanted to use his religious background to judge and put her down because of choices that she made. And as we were talking, I he was using words such as, there's pretty much implying that there's something wrong with you because you're doing this. And I pretty much knew that I had to say something and I had to step in. I had to pretty much let him know that this is not the right time to do this. This is not the right time. He was looking to preach and judge, and all she wanted to do, all my friend wanted to do, was just have her friends and support. And he chose his religious beliefs over his friends. And at that point, we tried to talk to him, tried everything that we could, get into rooms together. But at some point, it just became evident that this ain't gonna work. They're not vibing together. And we eventually had to cut ties with them. And it was something that was tough for me because I had been friends with this person since high school. I had known that this is what they were like. I knew that they were heavy into religion. We couldn't have known that it was going to possibly go down to something like this, but it eventually had to happen because, like I said, it just wasn't going to work between them. And so we cut them off, and it was mostly in order to preserve the inner sanctity.
Mr. Eddie Johnson.
Yeah, Ramon, did you find when you were going through that, that all of a sudden, when you maybe talked about it to other people, that it's prevalent? Like it's a lot of families and people that go through separation of someone maybe in regards to religion. I mean, did that help as maybe you were going through this?
It really did, because my grandparents are heavily religious, and I went with Kingdom Halls with them. And as a kid, I really didn't appreciate it as much as I do now, because now I know, okay, I personally know someone who will use their religion to bring someone down, and that's not what my grandparents were doing. They were good people that used what they were doing to help people. And it just hurt me to know someone personally that would do something like this. And so, yeah, it's like it really brought to light that, like all relationships and like all friendship groups, it's not really about how you are during the best of times. It's how you recover during your worst times. And this was like a recovery period that we had to make. And so the ultimate goal, the ultimate achievement of preserving the inner peace and inner sanctity of our friend group, I had to make the decision to cut this person off and cut ties with them from us. So that's my story.
Ramon, a question. Is there any coming back from that sort of thing? In a way, what that person did was a kind of betrayal. It was a kind of betrayal and an attack on someone. Is there any way to come back from that?
To me, I believe in second chances. I believe that people make their own choices. They make their mistakes. And as long as you are able to look at that choice that you made, realize that maybe you hurt someone, maybe that this is something that isn't something that's going to cause someone to be helped in their life. I believe that if you learn from your mistakes and they are willing to accept the fact that this person is someone that goes against their religious beliefs, but is also able to be mature enough to associate with them and, not want to be around them. So I believe in second chances, and I believe there is coming back if they're able to look within themselves and change.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Ramon. Thank you for sharing your heart with us, man. Really do appreciate that a lot. Getting to know each other, guys and gals. Maybe that's how we can always realize that there's much more to life than than meets the eye. Having these conversations and getting to know one another here live, guys, on a Saturday night is probably something that is overlooked. Beyond the pride and the prize, of course, is the humanity. Don't let your regrets become your life story. That's what I was thinking of when you mentioned that. Don't ever let your regrets become your life story. There's so many people that are in quicksand. They can't get themselves out of that because they have so much regret. You can't get past that. Seems like you don't. Thank you for sharing your heart, my friend. I will ask the same question to Stephen and Eddie. Stephen next. Stephen, if you can, my friend, name a time in your life where you felt the need to let go of someone or something in order to achieve a particular goal. The floor is yours whenever you're ready, good sir.
Avi, I had two ways to go with this, and I decided to go the hard way. That's for you, sir. So anyway, I cut loose at one point in time the love of my life. And I fell in love with Beth when I was 19 and she was 18. We were in college, and I'd never seen anyone like her. I fell in love. I was the beginning of my sophomore year, and I was terrified as to if I would have a career as an actor. And what I did is I went into the black theater. The lights were out. They just had a ghost light on stage, empty theater. Went up into the stand, the audience, and sat there and just prayed. And I was saying, please, is something going to happen in my life that I'm going to be able to have this dream of mine come true? And then I hear the door open and shut, and I thought it was probably the security coming to throw me out. And instead, this girl comes and goes on stage. Now I'm sitting in the darkness. She can't see me. And she walks onto the stage and in the spotlight immediately acts like she's on a tightrope and begins to walk across the stage in the darkness. And as she walked, I fell in love with her. She got to the other side of the stage, ran out of the theater, and I had to find out, who is this person? And I found out her name was Beth, and she was from Mississippi, and I started pursuing her seriously. We ended up in a relationship for 16 years. 16 years. I was always lucky. In Dallas, I had a career as an actor. And then Beth and I came out to Los Angeles, and I got a job right away doing children's theater, but at least I still had a job. She was working at a dog food company, not the noblest profession. And she said, maybe acting isn't for me. Maybe I should write. And so she starts writing this play. And this play, I don't know what this is, and the play is like this and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And she's typing in the kitchen day in, day out. And it looked like Gone with the Wind ×2. It was huge. And I said, baby, what are you writing? And she says, it's a play called Old Granddaddy's Dying. And I said, well, I don't know if that's really a great title, but can I read it? I start reading this play, and my breath is taken away from me. This was not a good play. This was one of the greatest plays I had ever read in my life. And I get to I'm now reading day in and day out while she's typing, and it's like good sex. I'm getting to the end of the play. She's typing the last page, and she hands it to me. And I said, my God, this is magnificent. This is a play. This is going to be famous. This could be on Broadway. You can't have a title like Old Granddaddy's Dying. You got to have a better title, baby. And she said, well, what title should I have? I said, well, you have 3 sisters in Mississippi here, and one of them's on trial for shooting her husband because she doesn't like the way he looks. Maybe if you call it Crimes of Passion. And so anyway, we were going to do Crimes of Passion with our little group for free, for nothing, all of us there. Well, one of the actors of our group actually had an agent, and he didn't read the play, but he gave it to a friend of his who was from New York. He went back and apparently he read the play on the airplane. And we get a phone call from Gilbert Parker, who happened to be the head of literary of William Morris Agency in New York. And he said, could I please talk to Beth Henley about her play, Crimes of Passion? And I put Beth on the phone. And he said, I'd like to work with you on this play. It's remarkable, but you can't call it Crimes of Passion because Ken Russell's going to do a movie called Crimes of... You have to change the title. So Beth turned around and said, what title should it be? And I said, well, how about Crimes of the Heart? That's pretty much the same thing as Crimes of Passion. And so Beth's play, Crimes of the Heart, ended up, with Gilbert's help, winning the Pulitzer Prize for Drama. She ended up having a Broadway run for years. She got $1 million contract to have it made into a movie. And what I reflect back on from the beginning of our life was there are two things that make a relationship: time and trust. Those are the only two that matter. Time and trust. And at the beginning of a relationship, time and trust are like gifts on Christmas morning. I mean, you here, baby, here's all my trust, here's all my time. We spend every second together. But after Beth became famous and everything happened, suddenly she was gone all the time. And there wasn't a lot of time. And then there were violations of trust. And our relationship, I got demoted kind of from being the sweetheart to being the yard boy. And she was gone all the time. And we were so alone. I was so miserable. And I felt like I have to leave. I have to leave. I can't act anymore. I can't think anymore. And so after 16 years, I walked out of that relationship. The day I left that relationship, I got an audition for Alan Parker for Mississippi Burning to play the head of the Ku Klux Klan. That day, I was so depressed, of course, I couldn't even really audition. I went in and just stared out a window and did the Klansman speech. I love Mississippi. They hate Mississippi. I just stared out the window. I left Alan Parker's office. Next day, I heard I got a call back. He wanted to see me again. So I went back again. This time I'm seeing guys playing golf across the street, Eddie. They're guys playing golf, and I'm just watching the golfers. I'm going, I love Mississippi. They hate Mississippi. I go through the whole speech again, and I get a third call back. Now, this time period now, it's been about a month since Beth and I have broken up. I get a third call back, and I come back into Alan Parker's office, and I'm scared as hell. And now I'm seeing real actors, famous actors in there that are going to be auditioning for the same part, head of the Klan. And the woman who was Alan's assistant said, Mr. Tobolowsky, I want you to know that Mr. Parker likes you a lot. He says a lot of people come in here trying to make this character scary, but he says you're scary naturally. So I'm going like, oh, okay. Then I get home, I get a fourth callback. Not only a fourth callback, but a fourth callback in Jackson, Mississippi, Beth's hometown. So now Beth and I have been apart for 2 months, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what if she's here in Jackson, Mississippi? I go to the Holiday Inn in Jackson, Mississippi. I know exactly where Beth's house is, 835. I'm not going to say the name of the street. But I'm thinking like, maybe I could stalk her. That's a possibility. So I rent a car and drive to Beth's house on the day of my fourth audition. And I'm looking through the window, and I go, oh no, there's Lynn. That's her sister. Oh God. And there's Ko. Ko's home too. And there's her mother, Liddy. Oh God. The number of Christmases and Thanksgivings I had spent there over the years. I cannot believe it. I said, I got to get back and audition. I go back to audition, walk down the hallway. Alan Parker is in a Holiday Inn room. The room is totally dark with a little light at the desk. He says, Stephen, sit at the desk with the light. And he sets his camera up and he said, so before we begin, I just wanted you to know I had dinner with your ex last night. And I said, what? Yeah, Beth, she's in town. We had dinner last night. I have a question. Why did you two break up? And I said, Alan, because we had a big disagreement as to what constituted a joke. He says, very good. Let's read the scene. I read the scene. By the time I got to my hotel room, the phone's ringing. I have the part in Mississippi Burning. Alan Parker in Mississippi Burning became my mentor. But more than that, I didn't know he had been through a bad breakup. More than that, the casting director of Mississippi Burning was Howard Fuhrer, who was the casting director of Groundhog Day. And so because I left Beth and underwent all of that stuff, I ended up with Alan Parker as my friend, doing Mississippi Burning and Groundhog Day. And then I ended up meeting a lovely girl named Anne. And Annie and I now have been married 35 years. We've got 2 great children. I got 2 great grandbabies now. And none of that would have been happening if I stayed in a relationship where I didn't have time and I didn't have trust.
That's incredible. Ramon.
So I just had a question, like, throughout that breakup, throughout all of that, what was there anything that, like, was there like one big thing that just kept you going, like kept you from maybe like quitting your profession or something?
It was the opposite. It was the profession that kept me going. And so, and a lot of times I felt like I was a hollow shell. There was a casting director, during this period of time, I was a basket case. There was a big casting director, Fran Bascom, in Hollywood. She did all of the sitcoms and all that stuff. And during this period of time, I was doing a play on stage in Hollywood. I was doing a play, and I had to talk on a phone. It was a fake payphone on the wall, and the only thing I did on this show was a monologue on the phone. That was it. I'm waiting at a bar, and then I go to the phone and I do this monologue. So I hear Fran Bascom is going to be in the house that night. And I'm going through all this stuff with Beth, and I go to do this speech. I said, I'm going to make my mark with Fran damn Bascom. And I go up to do the monologue, and the telephone falls off of the wall. So I go down and pick up the payphone, and those things are heavy. You know, they weigh about 40 pounds. So I'm carrying the payphone, and I got the phone, and I keep doing the monologue, and then the wire from the receiver falls out of the phone. So now I'm holding the phone and a receiver with no wire. I throw the telephone off stage, and now I'm just talking into the receiver with no phone. The audience is laughing hysterically, and I'm about ready to lose it, crying, and I'm still doing this monologue, and I finish the speech, and I go, goodbye. The next day, Fran Bascom calls me at home and said, will you please come to Paramount Studios? I want to meet you. And I'm like, huh? I go in there. She has a stack of scripts. And she says, these are all television scripts. I want you to read these scripts and tell me if there are parts in there you think you could play. And I go, I don't get it, ma'am. I don't get it. It was horrible. It was the worst. And she says, no, Stephen, it wasn't the worst. Because you're what we're looking for. We want an actor who won't quit.
Wow.
And so for me, it was hanging on to my profession.
Yes.
Hanging on to acting that kept me going.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Resiliency, maybe for the heart, but gosh almighty, to love what you were meant to do. Yes, no doubt about that. I want to bring this up because you mentioned Alan Parker. I listened to him once give a seminar in Evita. He was given a seminar in Evita, and he said, "You know what about matters of the heart?" He said he wanted initially to get into the, I think it was into marketing. He wanted to get into marketing because he felt as an 18-year-old it was a great place to meet women. He said he didn't know initially, though, that the first woman he'd meet, he'd fall in love with, which directly led him to leave that particular pursuit and get into screenwriting. But he said if it wasn't for his many broken hearts, he would not have been able to transfer that into his great many works. So he essentially was telling everybody that, again, if he didn't have his heart broken over and over again, he wouldn't be lauded as one of the great screenwriters and directors in Hollywood. Alan Parker.
Yeah. Amazing man.
I could tell. I didn't know him well, but man, oh man, you could tell he was definitely. And a lot of the young writers that were invited to listen to him speak didn't have life experience, as you would call it. And then afterwards, you could tell that they all sort of had this twinkle in their eye. They're like, in order to write, we have to live. We got to live if we're going to write. So he definitely inspired, I think, a lot of people to do just that. And guys and gals, again, hopefully you're enjoying this particular segment because it does explore matters of the heart, mind, and soul. And we are living through the stories of Eddie Johnson, Stephen Tobolowsky, and Ramon. And we're going to close things off right now. We're going to finish out the topic and find out. I'm like a giddy little kid right now. I do not kid about feeling like a kid because we're going to find out who moves on to round number 3, guys. Round number 3. Momentarily, Mr. Eddie Johnson, my good friend, please, if you can, name a time in your life where you felt the need to let go of someone or something in order to achieve a particular goal. The floor is yours.
Yeah, and, I got to tell a story around this because I look back at my life, guys, and when I look back, I was like a serial friend dropper. I'm not kidding you. And it was not even like some of the normal reasons why you would drop a friend, right? We look at toxicity. That wasn't it. Lack of support. That wasn't it. Drifting apart. That wasn't it. One-sided effort. That wasn't it. Different life paths. It wasn't any of that. It's just the way that I was brought up. Like I grew up in a family of 7. And my mom pretty much raised us by herself. I was blessed and fortunate to be that she would keep number 6, especially in the environment that we grew up in. I grew up in Cabrini Green. If you all remember that, it was Good Times, JJ. That's what they made the show after. I grew up there, one of the worst housing projects in the country, but it wasn't bad to me. I was loving living there. We eventually moved to the West Side. And that's when I think my focus on what I wanted to do with my life started. I remember standing at a bus stop and I was, it was 10, wind chill was like 10 to 15 below zero. And it was 7 o'clock in the morning because I was going to practice. Our coach had a 7 a.m. practice. And I remember standing there with an older lady and I could just tell that she was crying because it was that cold. And I just remember saying to myself, I said, you know what? I said, when I get to a point when I can get out of this cold city and go somewhere warm, God, just let me do it. And that moment was impactful for me, guys, because I knew the only way that I could do it was to, 1, improve my grades, get a scholarship to a university, because my mom was not going to be able to afford to send me to college. And I knew the only way that I can take care of her was to get a degree. So from that moment at 14 years old, I was on a mission. When I tell you, my basketball was my best friend. That was it. Right now in my life, I have one friend back from that day when I lived back there. I pretty much had to separate myself, and not because, as I said, they were bad people or anything like that. My concentration was to make it. And my concentration was to make life great for my mom. And so along that path, I ran into things without a doubt. I decided to go to the University of Illinois and play basketball from a high school team that had 12 players that all had Division I scholarships. We were the best team in the city of Chicago. Okay. We had a future number 1 pick, Mark Aguirre, on that team. And they were all thinking about going to DePaul University. I decided to go to Illinois. Why? Because I knew that if I went to DePaul and I stayed in Chicago, I would not reach my dream. And so I separated from my friends. And that wasn't easy to do. And it bothered them that I did it. But I knew that I had to separate from them. But as my college career started, I found out that God was not going to allow me to get away with just going through on my own and not having the responsibility to actually have a friendship challenged. And that person was a guy that played on my team. His name was Mark Smith. And Mark was a better player than me. I went to Illinois as a high school All-American. Mark wasn't an All-American, but I immediately knew when I got there that he was better than me. But the challenge that I had with Mark is that Mark wasn't concentrated like I was. My whole goal was to be the first in my family to get a degree and then make the NBA. It wasn't NBA first and get a degree. No, I wanted to get my degree. And I had a high school counselor, her name was Janice Gerke, who grabbed me as a high schooler. And she said, you know what? You're not going to even get a scholarship if you don't improve your grades. And my grades went from C's to B's and A's because I was not going to ruin that opportunity. I had a scholarship offered to every major university in the country. And so when I got to Illinois, I made it my business that that degree was first. The one person that was in my way was Mark Smith because I had to make a decision. Mark was a partier. Mark liked to dabble in drugs. And I'm not afraid to say that now because if you get to the end of the story, you're going to know why. So I was his roommate for 3 years and I held on. But let me tell you, holding on is like a movie, Stephen. I am telling you, because we moved off campus our second year and we actually moved to a trailer park. Okay. And in that trailer park, Mark and I probably had 3 fights because here's the challenge. He liked to do drugs. He liked to party. I've never done drugs in my life, never attempted it, and would not do it. He would come home sometimes and I had scraped his drugs into the toilet. I didn't even know what it was. I thought it was baby powder. And he'd come in and he'd like, where's my stuff? And I was like, what are you talking about? And it would lead to a fist fight. One time we had a fist fight and we had a game that night. Now, granted, Mark, again, I thought was the most talented player on our team. But all my pushing, all my prodding, and all of that could not get through to him. And so, as a junior, I had to make a decision. Because it was my last year at that university. And I was not highly thought of as an NBA player. I had a chance, but I wasn't highly thought of. And I said, Eddie, you got to concentrate. And I decided to break away. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do because I knew in my heart that I was really protecting him. Like, he would never be able to convince me to do drugs. He would never be able to convince me to hang out all night. I wasn't worried about that. What I was worried about was that I needed to put all my energy into graduating and getting out of that school and having a great opportunity to make the NBA and not be a part of something that he could have brought back to that apartment, right? And, you know, all of a sudden I'm right in the middle of it. So I decided to break away and we weren't roommates anymore. And as that year went on, it was tough for both of us because I really missed him. Even though I was seeing him every day at practice, that was basically it. And so as we left Illinois, I got my degree. I went on there, drafted into the NBA. He didn't make the NBA, but he went over to Europe. And this is where it's tough for me because I look back at this and I say, Eddie, did you do the right thing? Because I could have carried both of us. I could have. But that decision I made, I thought would help, but it didn't. So he went over to Europe and he tried to play and all of that, but he couldn't. And lo and behold, they had to let him go because of the drugs. And about 4 years later, I talked to him on the phone, and his mom picked up the phone, and they were talking to me, and they was like, Eddie, Mark really misses you, and you really helped him in school. And they said, well, the doctor told him that if he takes one more drink, he'll die. That was deep. And lo and behold, he took that one more drink and he passed away. And so when you look back at it, like when I look back at it, it's like, here's a guy that passed away at the age of 40 years old, okay? And, I was still into my career. I was still pretty much playing. It was the last year of my career. And it hurt me because I knew he was the best player on our team. I knew he's probably the best all-around player that ever went to Illinois. I knew that he pushed me so hard in practice that it allowed me to have a 17-year career. But yet, I was at a crossroads in trying to know that I had to get away to make my career, but also it was at the expense of his life, I truly believe. And so for me, I've lost a lot. I've separated from a lot of friends, but that is the one friendship that I wish that I could have done differently. Mm-hmm. And to this day, it haunts me. And my fight for him is to make the Hall of Fame at the University of Illinois. They haven't put him in yet. I constantly push for it because I truly believe that he was the reason why I made it. And if anything I can give back to him is to give back that his family, that feeling that, he was something at the University of Illinois. I have a relationship with his daughter. I've gotten to know her. She played in the WNBA for a couple of years. And she called me one day and she said, Eddie, tell me about my dad. Because she never knew him. And that was one of the hardest things for me because I had to tell her. I told her everything. I literally told her everything. And she said to me, that's what I wanted to hear. And so that's the only one friend that I truly regret that I left from.
Mark Smith, Eddie, I'm sorry for your loss, number one.
Yeah.
Passed away in July of 2001.
Mm-hmm.
About what, 6'7", 6'8", maybe?
Oh yeah.
One of the from Peoria?
Yes.
An incredible player. And another incredible player to my right, guys and gals and pals, made a decision that upon listening to it is not only relatable and heartbreaking, but very real. Do you find yourself having conversations with him sometimes privately in here?
All the time.
Here?
All the time. I mean, I use them in passwords. I got his picture. Anytime I put his picture, he and I up all the time. Yeah. It was, you look back at that, you just sometimes wish that what could you have done? Like I lost a brother when he was 25, but I was too young. I didn't understand drugs and all of that then. But I understood. But I feel in my heart I did everything, but it was a tough go. And I just knew I had to make a decision. I had to worry about my career and do what I told my mom I wanted to do and accomplish that. And I thought I could reach back right after that, but he was too far gone then. And that's the tough part. Yeah.
And for fans of sports that, again, admire people who really let their passion speak for themselves on pursuit of something that we can all relate to, which is happiness. Man, you guys both led that resurgence in Illinois, right? From like 77, 81.
Yeah.
You guys led that resurgence.
Yeah.
He was such a complete player, like maybe one of the best in the Big Ten at the time.
He guarded, and a lot of people remember this game. We beat Michigan State in '79. They were number 1 in the country. We were number 3. And it was Magic Johnson on that team, Greg Kelser. And he guarded Magic that game. And
Right.
he pretty much shut Magic down. And that allowed us to win that game. And everybody talks about me because I hit the game-winning shot to win
Sure.
that game.
Sure.
But what they don't understand is he won that game because
Wow.
he shut down Magic Johnson. Okay. So that little shot I hit at the end meant nothing if it wasn't for what he did defensively on Magic Johnson. Yeah.
Locked him down. Yeah, guys. Started in Richwoods High School in PA. Drafted by the Bucks in the 3rd round. Had a 10-year career in Europe. And Eddie, again, keeping his legacy alive. The beauty of it is now we know more about Mark through Eddie. So again, maybe that is life after death, right? Speaking about people that may not be here in the physical realm, but keeping them alive through spirit, as Eddie just so eloquently did, really, really touches me. And guys, again, how do you vote on stories? What resonated most with you? That's really what a vote is. Appreciate that. Eddie, you came into the Kings in 81 after what I call upset city in the West, because in 81, the Rockets and Kings were not supposed to go far in that playoffs. Moses Malone took an under 500 team to the finals, and he had that famous quote where he said, "All I need is a couple of people back in Virginia, and I could beat up Boston myself with 4 players." that was that quote. He went close. He took the Celtics to 6, the Rockets to 6 in 81, and then that Kings team were also kind of like an upset team, under 500 when they drafted you, but they made it to the conference finals against Houston. That was one hell of a time in the NBA. Guys, I'm going to bring in right now Mr. Jamie Sparling and Giselle. We're going to find out who moves over to round number 3 of this very thought-provoking, very humane tournament where strangers become friends. That's what it's all about. Giselle, your thoughts?
I am not ready to vote on this topic. All 3 of you are incredible. Ramon, I stopped taking notes because your story is so touching. And Stephen, I'm a storyteller, and I knew what sacrifices that entailed from the beginning, and what an incredible journey that is. And I was definitely squeaking backstage when I realized who Beth was, and Babe's monologue was in my repertoire for quite some time. but really, your points about time and trust and how you brought that all back together at the end was quite beautiful. And Mr. Johnson, Eddie, knowing what's best for yourself and what you needed to do to achieve your own goals, and living with that pain and every day of losing a friend. They're also personal and they're also wonderful. But my vote for topic 2 is going to Mr. Tobolowsky for those points of time and trust, and knowing when they're good and knowing when it's time to leave. So thank you for sharing all of your stories.
Thank you.
Thank you, Giselle. Thank you for also being thoughtful and really soaking all of this in. We appreciate you a ton. Thank you for tallying, as you will right now as well. Let's bring in Mr. Jamie Sparling, as he will give us a piece of his mind, heart, and soul.
Gentlemen, thank you for your vulnerability and your stories. Stephen, I just kept thinking this is Stephen's serendipitous story, how everything was kind of going through, and very masterfully told. Mr. Johnson, Eddie, I am also a serial friend dropper who didn't know that was a thing. But I have to tell you that I was the alcoholic, and sometimes people had to drop me, and I was a weight at one time period, and that's not easy for me to say. So it's beautiful you got to have that conversation with the daughter. That's absolutely beautiful. Ramon, you get my vote. I have a step. I have what I call my step they, and they are in transition. And that is not an easy thing for people to wrap their head around or understand. And I just love and adore them. And sometimes, anyway, I love and adore them. I have what I call a step they. That's my funny joke I tell people. so that I don't end up dealing with any smart ass comments in the other way. And so you hit me right there, Ramon. I'm going to give my vote to you.
Thank you,
Appreciate you, Jamie. Guys, this is it. We're going to find out now who moves on to round number 3, where you get to experience more great conversations. Who knows who the winners tonight will be facing in round 3. Guys, this is definitely right now the 11th hour, so to speak, the shank of the evening. Chad says, Stephen's story blew me away. For that, I vote for him. It really hit me home. Great job by all 3 gentlemen. Allison concurs. Love Stephen's story. I'm putting my vote in for Stephen for topic number 2. That's 2 straight for Stephen. Eddie Johnson and Stephen's stories were absolutely wonderful. Let us know who you vote for and why. Appreciate you as well. We have another vote for Eddie Johnson. Ernestine Jackson and Phil concurs. Tough, but got to go with Eddie. Okay. Radio Cohawk says, I vote for Eddie. I love you, Ramon and Stephen, but it was so hard to choose. I'm going with Eddie. Joe goes for Stephen. Love these votes. Very unbiased. We appreciate all of you. Where else, again, can you determine the outcome of a matchup with high stakes such as tonight's, guys? This is where you can do it right here with TKN, where your voice matters and is heard as well. All right. We have a couple more votes. Can't count all of them, guys, but I'm going to count the next maybe 5 or 6, and then I'll count things down. Consult KPN now. Votes for Eddie Johnson. Shirley votes for Eddie Johnson as well. Julio says, thank you for all your vulnerability. It's a testament to your commitment to being your authentic selves. I resonated with Stephen's story deeply, and I'm currently going through my own version of it. We're sorry, Julio. Stay strong, and you've got a community in here, man. Okay? You're not alone. Christopher, what a way to top it off. All 3 men really did so well and are winners. This is so hard to choose. With this said, I have to go with Stephen on this one. Stephen does get my vote. Okay. Man, this is difficult, says Howard, but simply with who resonates with me, my vote goes for Eddie. Larry goes for Ramon. Guys, I'm going to count this thing down. I'm going to ask Eddie, Stephen, and Ramon to hang out for about maybe 2 more minutes. I have a special tribute video for all 3 men, regardless of the outcome. You might be thinking, wait a minute. The person who does not advance, how would I have known to play a particular video for them? Well, 3 videos were made for the person who would lose. I would never know which one to play until the outcome. And then the other 2 videos are tribute videos for those that advance. 10, 9, 8, 7. There's a 6, then he knows the 5 and a 4. Of course, there's a 3 and a 2 and a 1 and a 0. So guys and gals and pals, I'm going to read you the scores. Let's get a reaction from Stephen, Eddie, and Ramon if they can. With 20 votes. And also with 20 votes, Mr. Eddie Johnson and Stephen Tobolowsky will move on to round 3 of the TKN Celebrity Tournament. But let's give it up for Ramon, who did so well tonight. Ramon, we appreciate you. Job well done, my friend. Awesome stuff.
Good job, Ramon.
Eddie and Stephen, you guys have moved on to round number 3. What are your thoughts?
Well, look, first of all, Ramon, great job. And it's never easy when you got 3 guys and, it's competition, but you hung in there, my man. And look, it's always great to win. But what's more important, though, is I thought all 3 of us were in unison together in how we talked about the subject and answered questions. I think we made this the best show that Avi's going to have. Okay. Yeah. So that's how I look at it.
definitely the best conversation for sure, Eddie. Yes. And Stephen, again, I'll kick it over to you as well. Eddie, I concur with what you said. When somebody said to me, hey, how come the debates don't consist of Rice Krispie treats versus ice cream anymore? I said, well, you know what? That's how we got a little bit of a taste of what this is. Of course, we eased in, but then my goal was always to make sure that we challenge each other through thought-provoking topics where, at the end of the day, we almost forget about the pride of the prize because the conversation is much more impactful than anything superficial. That's what we're doing here at TKN. Stephen, my friend, would you concur?
I would concur. I would say that last round, Ramon's story just really killed me. And I have a couple friends who were in the same situation, but you dealing with the unfriending is a huge deal. And Eddie's always been one of my idols. My brother and I used to watch him a lot on the basketball
Really?
court. And I had no idea.
Why haven't I been in one of your movies then or plays?
Because I'm just an actor, man. I'm low on the. Did you go to U of I?
But that was cool that wasn't brought up till now after the match. I like that. Not until after that.
Did you go to the University of Illinois, U of I in Urbana?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I did too after SMU. Beth and I went to the University of Illinois, and that's where she decided that she wasn't going to, that she would try her hand at writing.
Really?
And I
Well,
go,
that's where I met my wife as well.
Oh my God! Something's in the water there.
Something's in the water.
Yeah.
We gotta make this happen now. We gotta make this happen.
I'll take credit as the
We got a
matchmaker.
story on that. Hey, let's get together.
I had no
Trios.
idea. But I'll tell you what, if the Associated Press interviews me, I'll take credit for being the matchmaker here. I had no idea. Eddie Johnson and Stephen again, intertwined. Guys, this is a video that I'm playing for Ramon. And again, let's watch this. It's about 1 minute, then a video for Eddie, then for Stephen. Then we're out of here, guys and gals and pals. Let's again thank Eddie and Stephen and Ramon for giving us their heart and soul here live. Guys and gals, Ramon, you're part of the network no matter what, my friend. There's no doubt about that. This is a tournament, though, and I thank you so much for sharing your stories. My friend, we bid you adieu. See that? You'll always be part of the family.
Mental health is huge. Just if you haven't tried it, at least try therapy.
Yes, you did, Ramon.
Self, if you want to talk about your sexual orientation, you want to talk about your sexual preferences, these are things that should be normalized as a man in order to be able to talk about.
Yes, you did. It's the part I hate, Ramon. I'm sorry. Ramon, I'll put you backstage. You're a beautiful person. I love you, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you so
Great
much.
job, Ramon.
Thank you to both of you. It was really good to be here with what felt like mentors and just to learn from both of you and your experiences. I'm very glad I was able to do this and be beat by two guys who are consistently in the top 10. So I can't say I'm mad at this.
Thank you, Ramon. Appreciate you so much. Mr. Tobolowsky, anything you'd like to tell Eddie? I'm going to play him his video, and then I'll play yours. It's a tribute video for Stephen and for Eddie. Anything you'd like to express to Eddie, Mr. Tobolowsky?
I always just thought you were just the greatest jump shooter ever, but I didn't know how great you were at telling the stories, man. That had me kind of floored, and I was loving every second of it.
Thank you.
Every second of it was
I got a surprise for you then. About 7 years ago, I wrote a half autobiography book, right? And I did it for self-help, right? So I said to myself, I always dream a lot. And I said, one of these times I'm going to take one of my dreams and actually turn it into a thriller, right? And a novel. And we just completed it.
Very cool. Congrats.
We just completed it.
Wow.
And so hopefully it'll be out here in about a month or two. And yeah.
And
so,
Stephen might
turn that into a play. You never know.
There you go.
Maybe just cast me. Just cast me in it.
Eddie, question. Sans beard or keeping the beard?
He
would have to cut the beard off.
Beard has to go. My wife's had it. My wife, it's like she's shredded cheese at this point. Can't do it.
Guys, Stephen, I'm going to put you back for 1 minute, my friend, and then bring you right back in. Thank you so much for being who you are. And Eddie, I want to play this for you, my friend, as you depart. Again, congrats to being in round number 3. Elimination, guys, elimination round, of course. And round number 2 is ongoing. Hey, I just want to say this to you, man. You become a fast friend, and I concur with what Ramon said. You touch the lives of many without even placing emphasis on the reward of it. But the reward is knowing you. That's how I feel from the heart.
Thanks, Avi. I appreciate that.
I
You're a great man. I'm telling you. The guy that puts as much hard work into your craft as you do, it's impressive. I told you that from the beginning when I first met you.
Thank you.
You know, and that's why I got you working for me this upcoming week.
That's right. I can't wait to do so, my friend. And again, guys, for those watching, memory lane for Mr. Eddie Johnson. Well, I'll tell you what, my friend, your presence is a present.
Thank you, Avi. That was nice, man. I saw some pictures in there, man. You got to get me a few of them pictures.
Oh, definitely will. Absolutely. My friend, you had such a long day. I really hope you have a great rest of the weekend. I'll see you real soon, and congrats on moving on round number 2.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah!
Let's do it. Mr. Eddie Johnson, guys and gals. What a legendary human being, a legendary man who stands for a lot of human beings that don't have a voice, for the voiceless. And we appreciate that. And another man, guys and gals, who since day number 1 has been, I like the word mentor. I really do, because I don't think he seeks that, but he doesn't probably know how many people he has inspired. I feel like he's one of those people that doesn't know that everyone probably calls him a best friend because he leaves that sort of impact on people. Stephen, I'm referring to you, my friend.
Thank you for that, Avi. That's very sweet. Thank you.
You are a man who deserves this, and I hope you enjoy it. A little trip down memory lane, my friend. And guys and gals and pals who are still watching, again, outro is coming up. You'll find out the matchup that we have for next week as I cue this thing up here in real time. Guys and gals and pals, I say thank you to Stephen for who he is. body of work, everyone.
Oh my God. Oh man, that was spectacular. Avi, how did you get the picture of me and Dwayne in first grade? Oh God.
One of these days we'll talk about you playing bottom, which is something I think our audience would love to hear. Midsummer Night's Dream, and how you always mentioned sometimes it's important to do things that are not so important.
Wow.
You are important, my friend. And again, I concur with what Eddie said. To know you again is to love you, man. Again, you become a fast friend. We've somehow proven that through this virtual space, friendships, even without breaking bread, can be just as powerful. And you're living proof of that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I never met you, but I have a feeling that you're one of those people that puts so, like what Eddie said, you put so much time and effort into all of this. I think, like Eddie and like me, we are brothers under the skin that way. I mean, spend so much time working and trying to get everything right. And I still am flabbergasted about the picture of Dwayne, the picture of first grade and Dwayne sitting next to me with his Best Citizen ribbon. That's one of the stories I'm going to be doing at Theater 40.
I'd love to
about me and Dwayne.
Now, when is this taking place, Stephen?
I think that is October 20th.
Right.
At 2:00.
Sure. At
the Theater 40. And that is in Beverly Hills High School. It is the theater that's in Beverly Hills High School. And so should I give out the reservation number if anyone wants that?
Sure. I'm going to plug that all week long as well. Absolutely.
Okay. I have the reservation number here, and I'm going to do some of my favorite stories. And I don't know if I'm doing any showbiz stories, so it should be refreshing.
Wow.
So the reservation number is 310 364 0535.
0535. That guys, that's 310-364-0535. That's the reservation number.
And it is a benefit for the theater. I get nothing for this. It's just, it was at this theater I saw Anne Hearn for the first time, who I ended up casting in one of Beth's plays.
Wow.
And there was nothing at all between us.
Sure.
And because she was in this play, we ended up acting together a lot. And then there was something between us.
That's incredible. I can't wait to have our audience, again, know more about this. We have a lot that reside in California, in LA specifically. Guys, more information on that all week long. And again, in case you jot down the reservation number, that's 310-364-0535. This benefits guys and gals, something that's very important in our life, the theater. We need to keep that alive, and Stephen is doing just that. My friend, Standout Stories coming soon. You're in round number 3. Always a joy to share the screen with you, and I hope you have a great rest of the weekend.
Thank you. You too, Avi. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stephen Tobolowsky, guys, a great human being. I'm going to go take a swig of water and bring in Howard, Jamie, Giselle, and Ramon. Let's really appreciate Stephen. I'll tell you more about that because all week long, again, what he's doing is helping out the stage, helping out people that want to still remind the masses that despite what kind of financial perils we go through, the theater is so much more important in our lives than we give it credit to. Guys, it's time for some water for me for about 2 minutes. Then we're going to close out with the outro to find out next week's matchup. But Ramon, Howard, Jamie, and Giselle are going to celebrate you on screen. You deserve every bit of it. You are awesome, my friend. Guys, take it away.
I'll give you one of these, brother.
Ramon, well done, brother.
Ramon, you were great. You were thoughtful. You took the topics to heart. You knew what you were going up against, and you came to battle. And we enjoyed seeing every bit of that. And we know you're not going anywhere. And hopefully we'll still see you on Wednesday nights live too, maybe.
Ramon, do you realize that you held your own with two heavy hitters in this tournament? I want you to take a minute and breathe on that one. Well done.
And they loved sharing the screen with you as well, and having you here. You could see it in their faces. You could see it you could hear it in their questions. They came into this not discounting anyone just because they weren't famous yet, or it really speaks. They wanted to show that humanity and share that humanity,
Ramon.
and they did that with you, and loved hearing your stories. And I think they learned as much from you as you did from them.
That's a good point, what Giselle just said. I mean, learning as much from you, and just you understand, as a human being, which is what we do here, we talk about a fellow human beings in this journey. You are one that everyone wants to get to know because your heart shines through. You're an authentic, genuine person, and I want you to know that. Love you, proud of you. Guys, as we depart, here's outro time. Our last video, about 5-6 minutes. We're going to find out at the end of this video who faces who next Saturday night, October the 19th, for Stephen Tobolowsky. What a great human being and friend he is, and storyteller. For Eddie Johnson, what a great friend and NBA legend and also public speaker he is. For Ramon, for Jamie, for Giselle, for Howard, I am Avi Klein. Enjoy the outro. At the end, you'll find out who faces who next Saturday night.
Obsession's gonna be talent every time. You got all the talent in the world, but are you obsessed? Is it all you ever think about?
I got a book for a rhyming dictionary from the library and just started writing rhymes. And I got good at it.
Mistake maybe like 2000 when CDs were switching over to turntables. Because I've always been a DJ.
Right.
And I was like, I'll never do CDs. I don't know what y'all talking about. I'll never do CDs.
So consequently, what you do is you tell a story. And you tell that story as best you can. Go as long as they were making money and drawing money, and then they go to a different territory.
Situation when you were there in New York, and we've been to New York so many times, and there is nowhere like New York City, and you know it. You grew up in Queens.
So it's gonna get kind of stinky later, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I don't want that to happen.
And that lady inspired me to make sure that I worked hard, and I still work hard.
I'm Ricky Mahorn, and I play basketball with taste. If you try to drive past me out.
It was a person going, no, you're really funny. You should do this. This is great. I don't know how I would have invented that myself.
Well, no, but it's happened a lot of times, like in Earth Girls. I had to kiss Jim Carrey.
It awakened us to what we really wanted to do with our lives.
If you take time to think, then you'll go, oh, it's too silly and I can't do it here. But you invited me, so.
When I played in a high school basketball team, he'd be sitting in the front row
waving $10 bills at the referee because they were making bad calls. He was there.
Committed to the Eagles. I get emotional the fact that they won a Super Bowl. It's pretty exciting.
Defensively, they were even better. They were ranked second in the league in defense.
Today, I called the screen pass. He said, "Why'd you throw it to Willie?" I said, "Because he was open."
People used to say, used to be cruel out there. They used to talk to me and say, you can't do this, you can't do that. But I took that as constructive criticism.
I mean, he dribbles the ball and does a lot of things with the ball that Steph can't do.
I've done well, and so if you can share, I think it's important to do that.
Reading through the terrific lineup for the 2012 Bonnaroo Arts and Music Festival, well, as you can imagine, it brought me back to the good old days.
She could just serenade me all night. I mean, that voice is pristine. It's like an angel.
That didn't mean anything to me anymore. That meaning trying to keep up with everybody else or reaching some level of success that I thought was important.
The truth of the matter is that is a full time and a half job, and you have to be dedicated to it 24/7.
It was something that I didn't understand until I saw the picture of success in my mind.
Get out of bed, go have fun, blow it out of your system. And so I did. Well, the rest is history.
This researcher starts morphing into the thing. He starts really freaking out.
5th, because that is the cutoff date for the discount. So we look forward to seeing you this year at the 53rd reunion at the Cauliflower Alley Club.
Because, when you fight a battle like that, it's bigger than any battle I've fought, more than any wrestling match I've had in my life.
If you haven't seen it, I'm sure you heard of it, where the losers spend the night in New York's precinct.
It's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win.
Here we go. Here we go.
And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now, I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you.
You know what? Maybe one of the world's problems will get solved by listening to this show.
Avi, I'm going to win this whole thing. Watch.
I know you are, Tom. I know you are.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We're in for another epic night, people. Oh, yeah, baby. This is awesome. Round 2, people.